Hey guys, welcome to episode 106 of 4PlayerAnimecast. It is the 24th of November, going right into the winter/Christmas season pretty soon. And we're just on the last couple of laps of the fall 2018 season. I am, as usual, your host, Spire, surviving a frigid northeastern US temperature. And with me are my usual compatriots, Nier.
Hello.
He is back in form, all ready to go, right? Ready to run a marathon, stuff
Not
like
dying anymore.
that. Toast.
What's the word for Thanksgiving in Japan?
I'm gonna say probably Thanksgiving in katakana.
Merry Thanksgiving, Goo. Then
They don't celebrate Thanksgiving over there for some reason. That's why you didn't get any free rolls and like.
I think the funniest thing, they'll probably like get into it, but the way they'll get into it is just because like people are like over in America are just like eating like retarded lots of stuff all the time, so they'll get into that way. You know what I mean?
Why aren't they celebrating? Didn't the colonists come to Japan?
Yeah, the colonists brought turkeys to Japan. Toast.
A colonist actually made Japan because he dipped his katana into the water.
What was the purpose of those black ships then? Wasn't it for Thanksgiving?
Oh my god! Please, Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. He is a human being and alive.
For sure here.
Dark is our foremost expert on things Thanksgiving related.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, anyways, we'll pretty much jump right into it. We have a pretty lengthy show ahead of us just because of all the news. We did have a 3-week gap this time around, so we're just going to cover everything pretty fast. And there's a lot of news, and as well as the series we're covering can be pretty lengthy. So I'll just start right off with my series, which is let me fucking pull up the full name here.
Sure about that?
It's Seishun Butayaro wa Bunny Garu Senpai no Yume wo Mirai. Or I think the English localized title is Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. And in Japanese, like the short and abbreviation that you can use is Aobuta. And the Ao comes from Seishun's first kanji, which can be written as Ao or Sei, or
I don't know, man.
Sei.
I've been calling it Seishun Butayaro. I'm gonna call it that.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily wrong, but that's just the abbreviation I'm saying is in Japan.
By the way, who is the rascal?
I'm assuming
we're all the rascal.
Yeah,
we know who the bunny girl senpai is, but who is the rascal?
You won't know until the end of the series.
Exactly. It's
you don't
secret.
know if Schrodinger's cat is a rascal or not until
exactly.
Until
it dies.
Yeah.
But anyways,
how that experiment goes.
Yeah. But anyways, so this is a Cloverworks studio, I believe. So this is a sister company of A1.
Not anymore. They split off.
Right. They did split off. Thank you for telling me. Yes. You are exactly right. So
why'd they split up? Was it because of the rascal?
So you can't blame A1 anymore.
Yeah, you can't blame A1 anymore. I forget if they are still under the same like an umbrella company or something like that, or if they actually just like legit split up. But yeah, they did split up very recently again. Year is correct. Again, this is the same. The original is the light novel original. It is written by Kamoshida Hajime, who is the same person behind the person who wrote Sakura no Pet no Kanajo, or The Pet Girl Sakura So.
Oh, that's why I started reading this. No wonder. I forgot.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got scared. I thought that was me for a second.
Same.
All right.
Yeah,
well, Bunny Girl Senpai. Let's talk about it.
So speaking of the Rascals, you ever see that movie, The Little Rascals?
No.
I was more of a Goonies kind of guy, you know. Spire's still trying.
Spire has become the rascal.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we
Yeah.
can.
There you go.
Yes. So this is the director for this is Soichi Masui or Masui Soichi, and he is behind the stuff. He's behind like before this it was a little bit of kind of like a random mixed bag of stuff. Brotherhood, Final Fantasy 15, Hitsuki no
Final
Taika,
Oh, dude.
Chaika.
Uh,
What?
Nice.
Sakura Quest.
Sakura Quest. I still think that's from Sakura Gamer. You can't convince
It's
me
not.
otherwise.
A lot better than that.
But it
yeah,
has Sakura in the title.
shut up.
Just like soccer.
Shut the fuck
Stop it. But yeah, so this is pretty. There's a decent amount of money put into this, and it's again written by the same person who did Sakura-sana Pet no Kanjo. And it's been getting a little bit of hype recently because apparently the MC is like okay, I guess question mark.
Didn't you hear, Spire? He's the second coming of
Yeah, the first
right.
coming. The first coming was Oregairu, right? The Ore no Rabu Kome ga Machikatte.
Snafu. Yeah, he's the second coming of Hachiman.
Yeah, so I just kind of checked it out. The general synopsis is that there are people that go around and sort of have these various problems.
It's
called-
it's a story about puberty, Spire, and
Yes.
growing up. It is.
Yeah, so
It is just like Hachiman Snafu and Haganai and Bakemonogatari.
now you're just listing random. Now
Even
you're just listing random series that have
even
teenagers in it.
Toradora.
You're just listing random series that have teenagers in it. You're not even
What
just.
about
You're just saying stuff.
Tengen Papa,
even
Gurren Lagann.
Fully Cooley.
Now, fully coolly, they're like what? They're like middle schoolers. No,
Just like kiss this. Like,
maybe
Boruto.
fully coolly alternative.
Just like Kill Me Baby.
Oh, that's a good one. Just like what was it called? Maid Sama. Is that what? Was that a down to earth growing up story?
That does not sound like down
Just-
to
just-
anything. I think Spire died again, by the way.
Okay, so let's talk about how Bunny Girl is
no.
the same as Monogatari.
Yeah, exactly the same as what I got her. But anyways, so the MC is a regular dude, and he is surrounded by various girls. They come in throughout the series that have what is called the adolescent syndrome. So this
You mean Chunibyo?
no, so
What's
the
the
adolescent so adolescent syndrome in this case is actually a supernatural phenomenon that occurs to each of these girls, whether it's maybe they become they have self-inflicted wounds, or they become invisible, or like
So-
others. Yeah.
So it's like Bakemonogatari mixed in with some Medaka box.
No, it doesn't have anything about Medaka Box at all.
Yeah, but everyone is like an abnormal, and then they lose their powers when they
No,
grow
they're
up. So
not.
doesn't that
No.
make it a high school story about growing up?
Whoa, we don't.
Fuck are you
What are you talking? No, okay,
don't you-
let me finish the synopsis. Let me
No,
finish.
no,
the
no, no.
synopsis.
Let me finish. Spoilers. Do you remember at the end of Medaka Box when they had their high school reunion? It was like,
Yes.
oh, you remember how those fun times we had in high school? We
Yeah.
lost our powers once we grew
Yeah.
up. That makes
Yeah.
it.
Okay, but none of them have powers.
Yeah,
Then-
exactly.
Then how come
But
Bunny Girl
Spire just
Senpai's
said that
invisible?
one of them can have self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, it's
How,
the best.
how powerful is
and-
that?
Look at me
is
watch
it-
cut
is it-
myself.
Isn't Bunny Girl Senpai's power to become invisible? Just
She doesn't
like,
choose to become invisible. She just
just-
becomes.
just
Okay,
like
tell us.
Shinjo Gahara's ability to become lighter than like what 4 kilograms. Or
But she
something?
didn't choose to have that power either. What the fuck are you talking? Suzuhara didn't choose to become super heavy. Like what the fuck?
It's like when Nadeko chose to become choked by the snake. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And when
What the fuck? But anyways, so all these girls have these, supernatural things happening to them called adolescent syndrome, and the main guy called Sakuta, his name is Sakuta, is trying.
dumb name.
Yeah, I mean whatever. But he gets obviously wrapped up in these sorts of incidents, and he decides to sort of help the girls solve these problems, or advises them in a sense, right? So a lot of this is more like talking than like it is doing. Sakata doesn't like necessarily really run around a lot. He kind of talks about, oh, you have these problems, maybe you should do this, because a lot of these problems, a lot of the phenomena apparently stem from sort of what Toast said about like teenage stuff, growing up, sort of reading the mood. So this sort of like going along with the flow, reading the mood, being with the crowd, the whole like anti-crowd mentality, more of the lesson, like don't just be a sheep, right? Don't be sheeple kind of stuff.
Wow, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah.
you
Wake up.
yeah, wake up
keeps
sheeple.
you keep saying like this stuff, and it just keeps reminding me of Bakemonogatari, where half the episode is like 90% of them talking, and with the fancy
I mean,
cut-ins.
I'm not saying you're completely wrong, but then you just started naming stuff like Medaka Box, and you're like, what the fuck happened?
What weren't they both made by Nisio Isin, where it's a bunch of talking? Have you seen?
Yes,
Fire,
but that's not what you mentioned about Medaka Box.
Fire. Most of Medaka Box is just talking. We're gonna
Yeah, I
explain.
agree, but that's not what you
Our
mentioned
JoJo
about
like
Medaka
powers.
Box.
Like we're gonna have a fight scene here.
They still don't have powers.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. They still
It's
don't have
my
power.
stand.
My
Cuts for
stand.
Bieber.
Yeah. But anyways, so so a lot of this is sort of talking, and I think a lot of the reason why people really, I guess, got into it and they're like so hyped all about it is more or less the same reason that they liked Oregairu's Hachiman, which is like the dude isn't like necessarily just freaked out whenever he sees boobs or whatever.
He's not your typical anime protagonist. He's
I mean,
down
so-
to earth and realistic, just like me.
Just
I mean,
like
the worst part is it's like
calm,
it's
cool, and collected.
yeah, I know. It's like the worst part is it's not even like it's weird because it's like it, it, it the viewer, the anime viewer that likes stuff like Oregairu and Seishin Buta, like always wants something that they don't exactly know. Because when what I mean by this is they keep saying like I just want a like cool like realistic MC, and then what they're actually saying is they just kind of want this guy to just just sort of be contrarian is sort of what I'm getting at. It's like a lot of the stuff that people actually point to as like good MCs, really popular MCs, are always the ones that's like, yeah, I'm going to grab these boobs, or like, yeah, fuck you, or like stuff like that. And it's like it's very much along the same lines of like when people are like, oh, this is real talk. It's like, I want some real talk, stuff like that. It's like they don't. I feel like they don't necessarily want a person that would naturally behave in the way that somebody would, and sort of think about stuff in the way a real person would when they're faced with like invisible bunny girls or whatever, but rather they kind of just want somebody who's like, I don't know, like a Casanova who also knows that supernatural things are going on. It's very weird, but
Yeah, exactly. I want him to be really cool, just like me, and get all the
just like
ladies,
me,
just
yeah,
like
just
me.
like yeah, just like me. But I wasn't. I mean, I didn't necessarily hate. So I have to forewarn people before I speak a little bit. Well, yeah, he is definitely more like the MC from Hyoka. So Slade and Chat was like the MC from Hyoka, and yeah, he is definitely more like that. So I have to sort of preface it, what I'm going to say, with the fact that I was a little bit biased at the beginning against the series, because I was just like, well, people are just hyping it up the same way as they are Oregairu, and if Oregairu was any indication, it just is going to be terrible. So I went in, and I don't hate the main tag, or I don't hate the MC. So the MC kind of is just like, oh, this kind of happened, like just do this. He doesn't present anything like he like sometimes, like how all these cool edgy like rom-com protagonists or whatever that kind of know what they're doing, quote unquote, always has these sorts of weird introspections, right? Weird philosophical introspections. So he points out some like stuff that's less thought of, or less pointed out in anime, and I was like, that's not too bad. but it's like other than that, he's not like super impressive or super logical, or super like he's not like naturally kind of going in and doing these conversations in a rational sort of way. He's just kind of there.
But
So
that's the whole point of his character, isn't he? He's the everyman.
But that's nothing
yeah,
like
but
me.
it's not. I mean, it's not. He's not like impressive in a sense. Like
But
he's not.
that's the point. He's unlike Concole. He's supposed to be the unimpressive person in a group of all these girls, and that's what makes him so endearing. He's
I
the
mean,
he's the foil to all these wacky, fantastic characters, where he tries to solve it using his normal American mind or something,
I mean,
Japanese mind.
the issue is if you're just trying to drive the point of he is just an everyman home, every other rom-com starts with an MC that is the everyman. The only thing that's really different about him is that sometimes, like every once in a blue moon, he'll be like, oh, there's this more uncommon observation that I have. So if people are trying to get value from the fact that he's an everyman, they've already sort of lost their way, right? because you just might as well watch every other rom-com. But he like takes the things in strides and does the usual thing, and he's low energy, like again, like Oriki from Pyoka. But the major problem I have with the series is this. So a lot of this, like the girls have problems, and then the MC solves the problems, is very very common, right? You save the cat from the tree, and the girl starts liking you. It's an every
You
rom-com,
save the
right?
cat girl from the tree.
Yeah, and then the other cat girl that also like it's that sort of thing, right? It's in isekai, it's in a rom-com, it's in the stuff that Toast mentioned, stuff like Bakemonogatari, so on and so forth. It's in everything. So to me, none of this formula is like particularly different. And the issue is, uh, so the way I want to phrase this is like, it's sort of like, um, it's like Alice, but not in Wonderland, but Alice in like a shit pile. Where it's like,
Alice in Normal Land.
yeah, Alice in like Normal Land, or it's like, or Alice in Mediocre Land, where it's like, you can even like, let's suppose that the MC had like some sort of value, right? Like he wasn't like completely just whack like Ichika in Infinite Stratos, or he wasn't super like stupid or something like that, right? Let's say he was a decent protagonist.
You mean like Yozora? No, not Yozora.
Yeah,
That
whatever.
dude's name. What's his name?
Kodaka and Hagana.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. Let's just say he was like, okay, this series would still be very like at best mediocre slash standard, and at worst riddled with flaws, because everything else, like the premises, the girls that are just coming along, the way that they're kind of solving the problems, everything is very very standard. It's just by the book, just visual novel, like standard visual novel routes, standard like light novel rom-com stuff that you see 100 times over. And that is the thing that bothers me, because it doesn't matter if the MC is set up to have good interactions if nothing in the world is there to give him good interactions, right? Like, like you could have like a genius, like fucking like, "Oh, I'm so good at solving problems, blah blah blah," but then all you have to do is just save a kitten from a tree, and then the girl starts liking you. It doesn't really matter what sort of interactions you put in the story, right? So that's sort of the major problem I'm having with Alberta, where it's like, okay, I can sort of see where people are kind of coming from with like they like the MC a little bit more, but the series itself is still just like other than the standard like fan service value it gives, it's still pretty garbage, right? It's like I've seen this a billion times before, and the MC being a genius doesn't help because he doesn't get to interact with anything interesting in the story. So that's sort of more or less all I had to say about Albuta. I didn't really appreciate it. It was pretty par for the course. I was a little bit disappointed because I know this is the same author that wrote Sakuraso, and Sakuraso did have a sort of strong moral story that it wanted to drive home in terms of failing at something and then trying it again, and kind of having that be a central theme of the story. But I'm not honestly the whole like uh, the atmosphere and people having to read the atmosphere and like like don't be don't be wake up sheeple, right? It's like that meme. It's like don't be a part of the crowd, like yeah, you don't always have to just read the atmosphere. Just make your own pathway, stuff like that, or you have to deal with the atmosphere somehow, like everybody, stuff like that. I'm not really buying it, and I'm not sure if the opponent's really not the opponent, excuse me, I'm not sure if the author is buying it either, because it's like the the way that it's explained and the way that it's ingrained into how the supernatural phenomena work is just very, very, very vague. And I think that that theme is not only poorly explained, but it's very poorly motivated in contrast to something that is plain, simple, and strong. Again, like failure and how to deal with. So overall, I'm honestly giving this a solid like thumbs down. I don't really recommend it to anybody. Again, there is a bias because, in a sense, because I didn't like Oregairu either, but I believe that both my reasons for hating on Oregairu and my reasons for not appreciating quote unquote Aobuta that much are both relatively justified. So that's sort of all I had for Aobuta. Again, I wouldn't really recommend you watch it. Like, I mean, like if you're okay with just going through the standard rom-com filler, watch it. But don't believe anybody who really tells you like, oh man, this is such a unique series. This MC is so good. Oh my god, it's just whatever. Honestly.
Well,
But yeah.
Spire, what
Hmm?
the reason why you like Sakura so much compared to this one is that Sakura focuses on two characters mostly. This one has
Mm,
two
no,
characters.
I think Sakura. I mean, Sakura still does have a priority on those two characters, but I think there's a decent amount of build
Yeah,
up with the other characters.
but the main character mostly interacts with just that one girl. He doesn't
No, I
spend a
mean,
lot
no,
of
no.
time.
He definitely does. He definitely
He
has
does.
some interactions with the
He's
target
not
star.
spend a majority of his time with the other girl saying, "Oh, I'm gonna solve your problem." No, his
Well,
problems.
no,
Except
because
for
he
when
even
they have
solves
full
his own
arcs in Sakuraso, where they
It's also
focus on
that.
the
It's
other
also
girl's
yeah,
problems and his
yeah,
interactions with
and also in Sakura, so it's like
Also in Sakura, it's because the main character has his own problem that he needs to resolve.
yeah. Again,
In Bunny Girl Senpai, not so much. He's just there to solve the. He's just the problem solver.
the thing is, it's in Sakura, so like obviously the MC has a central part in helping. Well, not even that. It's like I don't know. It's like the the main character doesn't really like the other characters solve their problems, but the MC doesn't really have as much to do with directly to do with them solving their problems in Sakura. You know what I mean? Like
That's what I
he's like
just
in
said.
the background. Yeah, but that's not like that doesn't mean that the story doesn't focus on them. The story still covers them. It's just the fact that the MC isn't just like hopping all up their asses, like trying to solve their problems, right? Like the MC doesn't necessarily always need to be the hammer to solve, one girl or like a sidekick's problem.
How do you solve a problem with a hammer? You hammer it down and make it uniform like the rest? That's not how that works, Spire. This one's about non-conformity.
Sorry,
You gotta
Yes,
I
split
just
up.
forgot
hammer
about
it
the
a little
moral of
bit
the
more,
story.
bend it out of
Yeah.
place.
I should just read some more Alta. Sorry.
You're thinking too in the box about a hammer
Yeah.
hitting toast, okay?
So,
Yeah, two Medaka box about this.
so what is the main character's motivation for even helping anybody?
He's just
in
there.
Bunny Girl?
Yeah, it's more or less sort of what I mean.
He-
Oh yeah, I know it's
sees
twofold.
he
It's
sees
twofold. One is that he is like super just kind of. It's the usual thing where it's like he gets super wrapped up in it. Like it's like, oh fucking this just random bunny girl is kind of in front of me. Like what the fuck do I
his
do?
high school power is seeing everyone else's high school power.
Yeah. So yeah, that sort of thing, and he kind of gets wrapped up into it because he can kind of see all these powers happening, and then he starts talking with the girl, and then it kind of slides into that sort of stuff, right? And then the second motivation, which is a little bit more in story and a little bit more logical, is that his sister was is actually also the victim of the adolescence like phenomena, the adolescence syndrome. So he has experience dealing with it from before, quote unquote, and so he's obviously more sort of involved with these problems. So that's sort of how he gets into it. But
My sister was killed by adolescence power. Now I must get revenge.
yeah, but it's the usual like I'm getting I'm like talking with these girls more and more kind of motivations, the standard rom-com kind of stuff, and not like he's being held at gunpoint. It's not like Amagi Brilliant Park, right, where it's like they literally have a gun pointed at them. It's pretty standard how they get wrapped up into
Whatever.
it. Yeah.
Because with Monogatari,
Mhm.
like there's a reason.
Mhm.
Like they give a very like solid reason as to why the main character is helping like everybody he comes across.
Right.
It's because like that's just in
His
his nature.
his nature. He's
And,
just a nice boy.
and then because they establish that like it's in his nature to just do whatever he can to help anybody like he's acquainted with, like this series explores that and
Do you think?
makes that part of his character, right?
Yeah, but let me in defense, not necessarily of Alberta, but of like more recent series these days, right? Like when they're trying to kind of like make up the like motivations that how these interactions work out. Like in a sense, I think Bakemonogatari ended up getting a little bit of a pass for that, just because a lot of the story, first of all, deals not necessarily with. I mean, it deals with his personality and his characteristics and stuff like that, but it's uh, at the end of the day, there's sort of like a terminal thing, right? There's a terminal sort of value where it's like, at the end of the day, Aranagi-kun is just really, really, really nice, stuff like that, and he kind of got wrapped up in all of this. So, and he's also used to this because of fucking what happened with Kisho, right?
Yeah.
So there's like an end to this where it's like at the end of the day, Araragi is just really, really nice. And then they sort of focus on, elaborating upon everything else, right? And we kind of give Monogatari more or less a slight pass on that because it's more interesting the way Nisio Isin deals with everything else, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's fine, especially since everything is kind of out now, and it's not like Nisio Isin is going on all about it, and the series is already out and it's already big and it's already gotten all of this and it's an older series, so we kind of let it go. But what I'm wondering is a more recent series, a series that like if it kind of tried to do exactly what Monogatari did, it would perhaps come under more lighter criticism, right? Because this sort of like, oh, he's just a nice boy thing has been done sort of across a lot of things, right? And with varying levels of success. So what I'm wondering is, would that work in a more recent series at all?
I don't know. I was just wondering because
Right.
like I said, uh, like with Monogatari, it makes a part of the main character's like
Right, exactly.
arc, right? Like he goes through uh like emotional conflict with himself just because of the way he is. Like he questions his nature and he's like, uh like is always helping people really like the right thing kind of stuff. Um and you know, with the series the Bunny Girl sounds like it's set up in a similar manner. Um I was just wondering, do you think like the main character is going to have any sort of like inner dialogue to be like, like should I be helping these people?
Yeah. So I think I haven't watched all of it yet, but I think the focus is a lot more on just him doing stuff. And the way it kind of works out is that he kind of ends up just like, it's not like, again, Araragi has like a sort of a higher burden, right? Because he's always fucking running around getting his ass blasted, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in this series, he's just kind of doing a lot more talking. He's just like, yeah, maybe you should do this. And then the girl's just like, yeah, I'll try that out. And then later on, they just kind of solve the problems and stuff like that. And So he's a little bit more like sidelined in terms of like actual action.
Yeah. He's no. Who's the dude in Kore wa Zombie desu ka? Ayumu?
Yes,
He's
I am.
no Ayumu.
Yeah, he's not really all like in the mud and stuff like that. So I think for him, again, first of all, or for the author rather, the focus is a lot more just on the girls, and that sort of like his part of it isn't mentioned as well as much. So I think the author kind of wants to gloss over it a little bit more quickly. Maybe he'll come back to it like way later on, but I don't know. But I think the second reason, and perhaps a slightly more quote unquote logical reason, might be that he just simply has less of a burden because all he really has to do is kind of chat these girls up. But he's like, oh man, I solved the problem. Got him. Like, you know what I mean? So that's sort of how I see it personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was more or less my thoughts on Alberta. Again, if you like the standard fare, just I guess check it out. But again, don't expect anything more than the standard fare. And with that, we should move on to Toast.
Why me?
I don't know, just go.
I already put
Huh?
the picture up. You can't back down now.
Yeah.
I don't see the picture yet. What are you talking about?
It's up.
Oh no. So I watched Slime Tensei. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tensei Shitara Slime Dataken, or
I'm not gonna
Atom
call it that.
Reincarnated.
I'm going to call it or what's the abbreviation?
Slime Tensei?
Surate? No. Slime Tensei.
Okay.
What's the Japanese abbreviation? I never looked it up. I've
give me a
literally
second.
been just calling it Slime Tensei.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what the abbreviation is. That's all I've seen.
All right.
It just says slime? Tensura. No, Tensura. Okay, Tensura.
Tensei Slime. Okay.
Yeah, Tensura. Yeah, exactly.
So, for those of you who are not familiar with Slime Tensei, it's about a dude who gets stabbed. Then the dude is like, hey, bro, destroy my computer. Don't let any of my information get out. Then the dude's like, okay, bro. Then the dude dies.
What?
In the end.
And the dude throws his computer into the bath. That was cool. And then the dude's dying. He's like, "Oh, I feel hot and cold. I don't want to die." And then some voice is like, "Okay, I got you, fam." Then some stuff happens,
I mean, it's generally isekai.
and then he
but
gets reincarnated as a
Yes.
slime.
yes.
Then he meets a dragon. And they're like, "Hey, let's be Kazoku." They're like, "All right." Then he gets out of the dungeon. Then he meets some goblins. Then he meets some wolves. Then he meets some dwarves. And then stuff happens. And now he meets some adventurers. And now currently he's met the Oni tribe. The end.
So
No, he
that-
hasn't.
Episode 9 preview.
Yeah, but that's not what episode 9 didn't happen yet.
it happens
Maybe
in
if you read
previews,
ahead,
though.
you'd know.
He hasn't done that yet.
Well, maybe if you paid attention to the episode 9 previews, he meets some horned people. Spoiler: those are the Onis.
Oh my
But-
god.
Yeah, but I guess to sum up in a more, I guess, I want to say outside the story kind of way, but
It's
It's-
it's
it's-
it's
it's an
more
isekai.
English language kind of way.
it's an isekai, and the guy reincarnates as a slime from the title, obviously. The titular.
why a slime? It's because he didn't like the feeling of having his being stabbed and stuff. So some weird voice is like, "Okay, you won't have a body anymore. We're gonna give you this slime body."
Right. So he does reincarnate as slime, and this already kind of sets up in a pretty sets the protagonist up in a somewhat interesting way, because it's like usually what happens in these isekai stories is that you get reincarnated as like a powerful male or like a a male that has like potential to become really powerful with these skills and stuff like that, and then it becomes like a power fantasy, right? But because the slime obviously doesn't really have a gender, he doesn't really. It's not like, oh man, I gotta make my harem or anything. Like
I
that.
don't
So
know. I don't know, Spire.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure he identifies as male.
he identifies as male, but he is
I would assume.
still a slime. But
Not anymore. He doesn't. Not after
Yeah.
episode 8.
but yeah, so he has obviously a big power, which allows people, which allows the story to actually go on. He can devour things and get the skills and items and powers from whatever he devours, and so he goes on. And the more interesting thing about this isekai is that it does sort of flout, almost I want to say, cultural pressure in these um,
Cultural pressure? What?
no, what I'm saying is like there's now there these days there's almost this sort of like cultural pressure in these isekai stories to end up kind of doing what I want to say is like kind of go along the rom-com path, kind of go along more of like the male power fantasy path, right? But it meant it still does the power fantasy to a decent extent, I believe, but it definitely is much more shonen in the story that it's selling. It's a little bit more like, oh, we're just kind of running around doing this adventure kind of thing than it is anything else. And I think that's what draws a decent amount of people to it because it is extremely popular. It did start out as a web novel, but it is like one of the most popular web novels out there currently, as well
It's
as
it's extremely popular because it's less of the MC is a jack of all trades. It's more of the MC is having some fantastical adventures. This
yeah, the
isekai.
adventure, the more like shonen adventures in isekai is what the story focuses on, and obviously that gives it a little bit more of an edge in terms of uniqueness than some of the other isekais that we've been seeing recently. So
You mean the kinds where it's like, oh, I'm reincarnated in this new isekai, but wait, there's a cute girl with me,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
she
yeah,
calls
no,
me.
you're right.
There's a cute girl slave. She calls me master, and it's like, oh, whole
Dark
point of this
elf.
character is to become cute, and it's not so much in Slime Tensei.
Yeah, you're not.
Sure, there are cute girls, but they're just
Yeah, I mean he's a
that's
slime, so he
because
can't really do
they're
much, anyways.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is definitely much more of a shonen cell, which I believe does still happen like in shosetsu a decent amount, but it's a little bit more rare these days than It's not like it doesn't happen; it does, but it's definitely much more rare than the standard stuff, the formula that we've been describing. But yeah, so I guess I know how I guess how did you feel about this anime adaptation in specific?
Well,
Was it a straight adaptation or what's going on here?
it's a better adaptation than let. Which isekai should I compare this to? Let's say
Smartphone.
sure. Smart. No. Let's say Death March, because the skill because Rimuru has the skill of the Great Sage, and it talks to him.
Are you talking about like better adaptation, as in like the anime was? Well, I
Death
don't
March?
really
Yeah,
understand.
sure.
Or are you talking about like just in general, like this is
Yeah,
better
sure.
than smartphone?
Well, yeah, okay.
Both? Or I actually don't.
Is it this or this? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Compared to something like Death March, where the main character he acquires all these skills and whatnot. How the way the main character, what's his name? I'm not gonna even remember. That guy in Death March acquires his skills is he kills this thing and there's a small pop up in the corner of the screen that says, "Hey, you got this."
Doesn't he kill like all of the dragons in a valley or something like
That's
that?
irrelevant.
Yeah, it's the lizards, but those
That's irrelevant. It's when he does something in that world, a small pop up window appears and it's like, "Hey, you got this." Then it's mostly ignored. But when in Slime Tensei, when Rimuru does something and he gets a skill, the Great Sage talks to him. And it's like, hey, you got this skill. And he's like, oh, that must be useful. So compared to the power fantasy thing you were talking about, there's more of a importance to what skills Rimuru gets
Mhm.
compared to something like Death March, where he's just the jack, where he can do anything he wants.
Yeah.
It makes it more.
I mean, that's
I
part of
want to say believable that.
well, it also helps him recruit people, right? I mean, it's more believable also when he starts recruiting a lot more people, right? Or it's like he actually needs these other people to do stuff. It's not just like, oh yeah, I just need kind of like more manpower because I can't do like literally everything all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. It's not that the main character can solo everything. He does, and people just follow him. It's due to that. It's because he has his certain skills, but he can't do anything alone. So, well, let's just grab these people. They're a helpful supporting cast, is what I'll say. There's more focus on the other characters in Slime Tensei, where they have their own jobs, they can do their thing, compared to other isekai where you can literally just cut them out of the.
Yeah. Like in terms of like actually solving the mission or solving the problem, you can pretty much feel like, yeah, but I don't really know why these other people were here. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I guess.
And I get it's the world building in Slime Tensei is really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty solid in Slime Tensei. Does it have a lot more stat sheet kind of stuff though, or like because I actually haven't read a lot about it. Or
No,
how does it?
it's
How does it?
just hey, it's do you have you read Remonster?
Yes.
It's I guess it's closer to that where it's
Okay.
once this thing happens and you're allied with Rumuru, he does this thing. Like there's an importance in the names of
Mhm.
things where a name is power. So when Rimuru recruits people, he gives them a name, and that gives them a power where they they evolve past their previous species into a new one. So and they gain new powers, which is definitely helpful later
Yeah.
on. That I mean, that's the whole point of him of them coming to him. It's like, hey, I see you're doing something nice here. We want in. He's like, all right, and
So
that stuff happens.
I think let me ask like what I personally believe is $1 million question, which is so like people like me and you and some other people that are kind of
What do you mean, me?
pretty.
What?
What?
Yes. Anyway, what?
What did you say?
What do you mean, people like me and you?
Yeah, so how we're sort of I guess knee deep in these sorts of pretty fanfic, degenerate shousetsu, web novel kind of stuff, and again, a lot of them, as both you and I have mentioned, are very sort of standard forms of male power fantasy isekai kind of stuff, right?
Sure.
So, is there like you and I again are both relatively open to kind of reading other stuff along the isekai line, but if there's somebody who's kind of like another person who's kind of sort of deep into the whole harem isekai kind of stuff like that,
What harem?
how would you? What?
There's no harem here.
No. I know. What I'm saying is, if there's another reader who's kind of coming along, he hasn't read Tensura or Slime Tensei, and he's like, I've read all of these, harem isekai, and I really like them, blah blah blah. And how would you convince that sort of person who's kind of just into that sort of thing to kind of convince him to take a look at something like Slime Tensei, which is distinctly like not that thing? Like it pretty much sells the stuff by not being that sort of isekai series. You know what I mean?
I'd compare Slime Tensei to something more along the lines of another series that has really good world building. Maybe,
Okay.
uh, be I don't know, Spice and Wolf, Mao Yu, sure. Where the
Shield Hero, maybe?
Shield Hero is kind of eh.
Yeah, Shield Hero does fall off in relation to
Let me
second
rephrase. Shield Hero's not out yet. You gotta wait a year.
Fuck. Okay. But
I mean,
yeah.
the strong point of Slime Tensei is the world building and the
Mhm.
characters associated with it.
Mhm.
Not so much Umuru is the main focus of like the the entire series. It's more of he's just the main character, but all the other side characters are very important to his role too.
Right.
He's not a one-man army. Well, technically he could be, but just everyone else has their own role in things. Where, I mean, I'll just go out and say it. Slime Tensei's literal goal is, let's build a monster kingdom.
Right. Exactly.
Compared to the other ones where it's just we're gonna do our own thing and just explore. No, his goal is to build a monster kingdom. Oh my god, is that why some people compared it to Overlord?
Maybe. Yeah. By the way, yeah, Shield Shiro is getting an anime.
Okay.
Healed
But
Shiro?
yeah, Shiro.
Shield Shiro, yeah, Shield Hero.
But yeah, it's just hey, we're gonna build a kingdom here. We better make fun relations with nearby kingdoms. Oh, there's the Dwarf Kingdom. Let's visit them. Oh, there's the Adventure Guild. Let's talk to them.
Right,
And just
exactly.
it's just slowly building up this. I'm gonna say this world again, but this civilization within that world, and it's just growing bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about this series, and you mentioned this, and it is a very good point. And not only can you sell it as a good selling point, like the world build, but especially like objectively, it should have better world building because it's not spending as much time necessarily on just kind of running around trying to solve like every one of like the harem member or girl's problems. You know what I mean? So
Well, most of their problems are solved by hey, join my group. I'll give you a name.
yeah,
Oh, you're
you have all these powers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now you're cool.
Yeah, now you're cool. But yeah, I think that's definitely a good way to approach it. Just being like, this thing definitely Slime Tensei definitely does have a very sort of solid world building sort of thread in it. But yeah, I guess did you want to say anything else? Any last comments about the series that you might want to recommend?
How it looks, you know, for an isekai, I was expecting something more. It's well, let's say Slime Tensei is very bright and colorful,
Mhm.
very cartoony. It doesn't take itself seriously, and it's not as visually dark as I thought it was gonna be. I guess compared to other isekais this season, let's say Goblin Slayer.
Oh my god!
Is that really
Please.
an isekai though?
For the
No.
sakes of
No.
for the sake of this season, it could be classified as one. But yeah, it's not. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking about, Dark. It's very. There's a lot of watercolor and painting. It's very like I'm gonna say cartoony, and I guess I like that. Sure.
Mm.
It doesn't take itself seriously with its animations.
Okay. I mean,
As
I get
much as
it
other
definitely
series.
is. Again, it
Does this
also
make sense?
definitely is more. I think more suited for more of again the more shonen bent. So I understand why they would maybe take that approach to begin with, rather than again, a more standard isekai series would. So yeah. But yeah, I guess definitely a thumbs up from you. Would recommend to other isekai isekai watchers or readers.
Did you know this series is 24 episodes instead of 12? That must mean it's pretty important.
Please don't say this.
It's
The
got
only
a real good reincarnation sequence.
Great.
Really interesting audio visuals.
it's
That's not a joke.
that it's not a joke. I would seriously put it on par with um let's say Saber summoning in Unlimited Blade Works. It kind of has that kind of feel, where it's very
Shut up.
it's computer generated, but it's not uh oppressive to the eyes. If
It's
you know
not,
what I'm saying?
it doesn't make your eyes
Well,
bleed.
yeah, it
That's
has
some
an actual
high. That's some
style.
high
It
praise.
hasn't.
Yeah, it's
It
very
has.
stylistic.
Yeah, it's got a lot of like its resurrection sequence. I guess the way to describe it is like it's got a lot of
Flashy lights and
polygonal.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like got a lot of like particle effects, but on top of that, it's a lot of like mirrored sort of like polygonal shapes and stuff that
Right,
make
right,
it seem like this sort of strange.
right,
Um,
exactly.
but overall, during those sequence, uh, there's a lot of like black and white,
hmm
but the slight colors I guess they use in it is really nice, and
Okay.
It's
just
not
a
oppressive
really
CG like the most when most CG is used, it's to animate this weird funky thing or a group of things.
hmm
I don't know. Let's just throw it out there. Overlord CG is where we're gonna animate these bunch of soldiers this way, and we're gonna animate this giant hobgoblin ogre with CG. It looks pretty bad, but in Slime Tensei, most of the characters and even the monsters are not CG.
Right.
They're pretty normal looking, and that's the way to use it. Most of the CG is actually used in stuff that's not important, really. Like with
Like
when
background stuff, or what are you talking about?
like
I think he
most of
means
the
it's
great
used as like a stylistic like
yeah, sure.
note. It's not
Okay,
used.
okay.
It's not
When the
used like just to make like a character or like background.
Right, right,
most
right.
most
Okay.
of the great sage stuff is when it talks and when it does stuff, it's very computerized, which- and that's what the CG is used for. Where
Mhm.
like the scene where Rimuru eats a sword and copies it, that's all CG, but it's not. But that's fine. It's a little CG. It's not. We're gonna animate this skeleton dragon. No,
Right,
no,
right,
it
exactly,
looks
exactly.
normal. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's not like the Overload season 3 opening or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I would
it,
say it's also not um the way you're saying it, I guess, doesn't kind of really do it all that much justice in a way. Just because it like when he recreates the sword, it's not so much like when he's spitting out the swords like, oh, it's all CG. It's like he's analyzing the sword, and the way that they're using sort of like to show an analysis of it is like this really weird like high res model of the sword with like high res shaders. Um, trying to see if there's a screenshot anywhere of when he's trying to figure out what he is. He's in his new slime body because they do a really just episode 1 in general has this really strange back and forth of like different art styles to like show the resurrection, and I guess they're still doing that with certain
Mhm.
things when he consumes them and analyzes them.
Right.
Really nice. It's really really cool.
But yeah, I think definitely just the way that I mean, again, there's a lot of money being poured into this, but the way that it all kind of forms together, but the pretty solid like story it happens that that gets handed down from the light novel web novel as well as the solid quality visuals it has. I think it has like it's one of those series that you can kind of eat one of those isekai series where you can actually kind of present you can take home to your parents without being embarrassed about it in a sense, right? uh so I think definitely if people were going to gateway use like a gateway series into other more degenerate isekai, they would probably use this, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I just put on screen really quick. There's a picture of like when he's figuring out his body. It's a still, so it doesn't do it as much justice, but
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
they have like this weird 3D render of like a gel
Yeah,
that's moving around.
exactly.
I guess I guess when they're doing CG stuff, it's more of the magic aspect. Because when he's
When they're
doing
kind
that,
of focusing on stuff like particles or fluids, you mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the dragon, when he first appears, is big CG mass of a dragon. But when Rimuru gets the mana sense and he can see, and look, the dragon's normal again,
Mhm.
which is a very good way to use CG.
But yeah,
What else?
yeah, it's pretty good.
I like the series. To be honest, I think back when I first started reading this was actually my gateway to my isekai binge. More
That's
so
pretty.
than
Yeah,
any
I mean
series.
that's a pretty good way to come about it, to be
This
honest.
one's kind of this one's kind of old.
Yeah.
And I was like, when is this getting an anime? For a couple of years now.
Mhm.
Finally did.
Yeah,
It's good.
definitely a long time coming. Definitely a long time coming.
Good job, 8-bit. You can redeem yourself from Infinite Stratos because this series also this company also did Knights and Magic, and that one's really good too.
Yeah, definitely having pretty good picks by
They're-
that
they're-
studio.
They're 2 for 2 with with their isekais. You can't say that.
Yeah.
Can't say that about many others.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to be fair, it's hard to pick out gems from that ship file, but they managed to do it pretty solidly.
Did you not like? They had rewrite.
Well,
But
let's not
rewrite's
talk
not
about
isekai, is it?
yeah, it's not isekai, but yeah,
So
let's not talk about that. Anyways,
I don't know, man. Does if you think about it logically,
no.
Does
Anyways,
Little-
thank you, Toast.
is Little Busters an isekai?
All right, we're moving to dark
But
here.
yeah, but yeah, Slime
Yeah.
Tensei is really really good. This is
Yeah.
this is probably my top 3 isekai, and
Yeah.
I've read a lot of these.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, I don't usually say this, but it's not just I don't necessarily just being like oh it's popular so go check it out, but this series is definitely pretty solid. So please do check it out if even if you want something that's not necessarily the usual isekai, please do check it out. So yeah. Anyways, thank you Toast for covering Tensura or Slime Tensei or Tensei Stara Slime Ken.
24 episodes. You best watch
24
all of it.
episodes. So yeah, so do check it out. And with that, we will move on to. I guess we should actually move on to Irotsuku first, right?
Sure.
Nier?
I don't.
Huh? What?
You want
You're
to?
up,
You want to?
kid.
You want to? So the next series we're going to cover is Irozuku Sekai no Ashitakara, or also known as Irozuku: The World in Colors, and this is
Also known as Iroduku. I don't know why.
It's because
English
it's because
D in
yeah.
it.
No, it's because I mean it's you can pronounce the hiragana in both ways. Doesn't really matter either way, but I guess yeah, I don't think it really matters that much. But the more important title for this is also known as the PA Work series for this season.
Yep.
Yeah. So here, you want to lead it off?
Um.
What
sure.
what is the colors and what is the world?
I'll just read it.
What
I'll
is
just
the
read the fucking plot synopsis. Set in the city of Nagasaki, the story takes place in a world where a minuscule amount of magic remains in everyday life. Hitomi Tsukishiro is a 17-year-old descendant of a witch family who grew up with stale emotions.
Like bread, stale
Yeah,
bread.
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
bread.
Just like
Uh,
bread.
As she lost her sense of color at a very young age.
Hmm.
Feeling sorry for her granddaughter's future, Kohaku, a great witch, sends Hitomi to the past, the year 2018, the current year.
That's me.
Oh,
It's
Who
literally
is-
me.
does this take place in a parallel world with magic?
Sure. Through exchanges with her 17-year-old grandmother and her club members, the story follows Hitomi's growth as a person.
The nuclear powers gave them all magic.
So is this also another slice of life growing up story, just like Seishin Buta Yaro?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'll say this straight up. I hate this show.
Dude, you had a big particle whale.
I fucking hate this show. So right off the bat, the show starts off with a fireworks show, which to me was the biggest red flag in any PA Works show I've ever seen. Because you know what else started off with a fireworks show right off the bat?
Macross?
Glass Lab.
Don't talk. Say the name. Don't talk about it. That series. Shh. Shh.
So immediately, I was very worried.
You're already worried. You're like the starting moment. You're like fireworks. Nope. I'm not. I'm not about this
I
life.
was very worried.
Dude,
and
fireworks
then-
are so deep.
during the fireworks, she's like, "Oh, when did I learn to not like fireworks? I guess I just grew up." And immediately I was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna like this main character." Um, and then it does this thing where it's like, because her whole, I guess the main character's whole gimmick is that like she sees the world in black and white. And I was
She's like colorblind, except
She's
entirely so.
blind.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
is she colorblind just because she like doesn't
'Cause she's-
care, or is she actually colorblind?
She's so depressed she sees the world in
That's
black
what
and
it
does she-
white.
sounds like.
Does she
I
have
get it.
stale
series-
eyes?
This series sets it up as she just doesn't care. Like she's just so fucking emotionally
I,
void.
I think it's both. I think it's both. Like she's both like emotionally void, and she sees her like world in black and white. One might
yeah.
affect the other because it's all magics, but who knows?
So it's like Violet Evergarden, except
Except not at all. Yeah,
It's
sure.
Violet Evergarden, but it's like if the trauma also like maybe affected her ability to see colors.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Rods and cones. Maybe she has a mutation.
Rod, think
Fuck are you-
Rods and
what?
cones, dude.
no,
It's
the
in
eyes, the
Rods
eyes,
and
yeah,
cones.
yeah. Keep going.
So and then the series goes on and it's like, "Oh, I can only see you black and white." And then it shows the fireworks in black and white. And you know, I was kind of like, okay, that's kind of interesting. They could do something kind of neat with that, like, you know,
Uh-huh.
some visual storytelling, right?
Right,
That'd be
right, right,
nice.
yeah.
And then I was immediately proven wrong because it goes from that one shot in black and white and it goes back to full color. And I was like,
Yeah, it's mostly full color.
okay, what's the point?
The weird thing is, it's like it shows the gray scenes and then it contrasts with like the color scenes, right? And like that's fine, but I don't know why it does that.
Did-
Like I just have no idea
Well,
why
you
they
know,
show the gray scenes.
I don't know why the show does anything, to be honest, but I'll probably get into that later.
You know, the way you describe the opening of the first episode is very similar to like the opening of Clannad, where Tomoyo's like, "Oh, I hate the world and everything," but then Nagisa appears and suddenly everything is all bright.
Yeah, except it doesn't do that.
Does it? Wow, they
It
should have
does.
copied that.
It does. Well, I mean, it
That was
does.
a really good opening.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't do it in a very good way. But anyway, um, so she goes up and she meets her grandma, who's some like super epic mage.
Mhm.
And her grandma's like, "Yo, I'm a super epic mage, and I made this super epic time travel spell.
Yeah. By the way, you're getting sent
By
back
the
in time.
way, I'm
Goodbye.
sending you back in time
ya.
without your consent. You have no say in this. Goodbye."
Bye.
She immediately gets sent back in time, and she wakes up on this weird bus, and she has to give Pocky to this weird, like, gremlin monster. And she wakes up in.
By the
like,
way, can I just a quick second? The bus, if you read the katakana, actually reads Kalabiao, which, if I may nerd out just for a second, it is actually like a quantum physics reference. So yeah, and yeah, keep going.
Explain. Does it have to do with time travel?
It's essentially a relatively common like
So
or
the
Big Bang Theory type like reference that people use when talking about space time. Yeah, it's
So the
Kalabiao manifolds.
the grandmother is Doctor Strange, and she uses the time
Yes.
stone to send
Yes.
her back.
pretty much.
She is
yeah.
actually Thanos.
Alright.
But I
Yeah,
keep
she
going.
snaps her fingers, and she says, "You should have aimed for the head."
Yeah.
But so she wakes up in some random boy's room, for no reason.
Is it a cute boy?
Like literally no
Yeah.
reason at all. She sneaks out of his room. She gets filmed doing so,
Mhm.
Wow, but what a pervert.
and then I guess she meets up with like pretty much half of the cast,
Mhm.
and one of the only interesting characters in the show, which is the glasses girl, and that's pretty much I pretty much only find her somewhat interesting because she's voiced by Toyama now. Other than that, she's pretty.
Who's Toyama? Oh, okay.
But she gets like directions to the magic shop in the current year, which apparently I guess the entire city structure changed in the span of. Apparently, she got sent back like 60 years, and
Yeah.
somehow she was completely lost and didn't know where this building was, even though it literally had not moved at all. But you know, whatever. And then she meets her,
When it goes back.
yeah, her great grandmother,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "Oh, wow, you got sent back in time. That's pretty epic." And and then the story basically just gets set up with like, well, I guess since you got sent back in time against your will, I guess you'll just live here now.
Yeah, and then it
Um,
kind of develops into a constant sort of like how she develops with regards to like using the art club that she joins or the photography club,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
she goes to high school. She joins the photography club, which anime and photography, it never knows what it's talking about.
Hey man, have you seen Photokano? That
Yeah,
was
Have you
Photokano,
seen
dude.
Tana-kun, dude?
Have you seen Tamayura, dude? Come on, man.
Have you seen that one
They
episode
pick
of
it up, they
Scrubs?
press the button.
I'm not gonna lie, Tamayura is probably the most accurate representation.
That
of
is true, but it's like the entire series is based around that.
yeah, and I mean it's pretty boring because photography is not exactly the most
Yeah,
fun
exactly.
to watch.
You
But
pointing at some cherry blossoms. There you go.
but
Man, if you're adding cherry blossoms, it's 100% copying off of Clannad's opening.
she meets yeah, Clown invented cherry blossom.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. When cherry
going,
blossoms
keep
appear
She
appear
meets-
on the
She
scene,
meets the cute
all the
boy
colors.
whose room she woke up in randomly,
Yeah, exactly.
and the boy's like, "Are you a burglar?" And she's like, "No, I'm a time traveler." And he's like, "Okay, retard." Um, but then she sees this like drawing that he's uh, you know, drawing on his
Mhm.
tablet, and she's like, "Oh my god, I could see the colors." And then and then the show does like the only thing that I've actually liked out of it so far, where she sees the colors and then her world gets like full of color, and it's got this nice like watercolor
Mhm.
animation, and like there's fish swimming in the sky and a bunch of cool stuff.
Magic
then-
fish?
Sure,
Like
whatever.
Fantasia whales.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then it just cuts back to black and white, and then she's like, "Oh, that was epic." And then after that, nothing happens for some 5-6 episodes because this show uh, sucks.
Well, the general idea is that she keeps having these like flashes of like she like obviously like the general backbone is like she has just these sort of slice of life things that are going on right in her life as she attends high
Yeah.
school, but then she has in between she has these like flashes of like, oh, I can do magic because XYZ, like I believe in X, or I look at this picture and I get inspired by Y or something like that, right? And
I mean,
because of these small inspirations she
problem-
gets these flashes of magic.
the problem with the show is like
Mhm.
it's like every time, like every second I'm watching it, I'm like, why is anything on screen even happening right now?
Yeah.
Why
That's
is it
a good point.
happening? Why is there magic? Why is she in the photography club? Why is she like, you know, why is everybody around her like so wary of mages? Why
Mhm.
is uh like she keeps saying, "Oh, I hate magic. It's dumb." And it's like, why? Like there's like no motivation for any of the characters. There's no like there's no world building as to like why there's even magic in the first place. They're just, like there just is. It's just like seems to be completely commonly accepted. And uh I'm just
The-
sitting here and I'm asking myself like why should I care? You
The,
know?
We
the
got
issue
magic, but let me pull out my
Yeah.
fucking digital camera, by the way.
yeah, the issue is it's like the biggest sort of quote unquote motivation that any of the characters have, or especially the main character has, is that she wants to, I guess, in a sense, get her sense of the colors back, right? She wants to get a sense of the emotions and the colors and everything, whatever, all those pretty nice things, right? And back, and she sees, these pieces of art, and for a second, she sees the colors, right, because of the art or whatever, and she wants to experience more of that, right? And so she has to go through all these experiences, right? to herself. Like for her, presumably she's like, oh, I need to have more of these like artistic experiences or whatever in order to, or inspirational experiences in order to get my colors back. And so,
I mean,
um,
the story.
I'm not complimenting it necessarily. Let me finish. So it's like what I'm saying is that the issue is because that in itself also doesn't necessarily have a real pacing or even necessarily like we're not entirely sure of like the what happens with the end goal and stuff like that. Magic yourself.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have a drive in the first place, right? Like,
I think there's a starting motivation. Like there's a reason as to why she should do it, but there's in terms of like the actual story, there's no idea of like the pace. What I mean by that is like I mean like you're just kind of wondering after that like does this mean that the story is just going to devolve into like she's just going to find some new inspiration every episode? Is that it? Like you know what I mean?
I mean, she hasn't found any inspiration so far.
But that's
Well,
the whole
she-
point of the
she-
entire
well, no,
series.
she-
She's
she-
going to find that inspiration near the end.
she spurts out those colors every once in a while, right? That's the whole point. Like she's like, oh, let me see that tablet again. Then she like spurts out or does whatever, right?
Yeah,
let me
she's
hit that tab.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's
Oh, it's so
pretty much
cute.
how she treats. Can I see this? Can I see that? And then she like stares at it for a solid 20 seconds, and she's like, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah.
It's like, why?
It's like a loading bar on her eyes.
She's like
Processing
charging her magic batteries.
Yeah, like that scene happened, and I was like, "Why did that just happen? Like,
Yeah,
what did that achieve?"
Yeah, I think
Because
that's the problem.
The series presents the initial motivation of her wanting her colors back,
Right, exactly.
and then she doesn't do anything with it. There's no internal monologue of her saying, "I want, like, I want these colors back. I need to do something to get them back." She just
Yeah.
says, "I want them back."
I
Why
think
didn't she just get an eye transplant?
Why don't they
I
just
don't
use
think that's
magic?
how that works.
Just
The
transplant
series
more
kinda
rods
just-
and cones.
Yeah.
It kind of just rolls along where the characters, who, by the way, all the characters in the show are awful. They're just completely uninteresting.
They're
But-
not very exciting. Yeah, I can definitely.
But
agree
that's
with that.
real.
All the characters kind of just like yell at each other, and they're
Why didn't you know she didn't see colors? She couldn't
let's
see colors.
take pictures of stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, okay, that sounds fun." And then they just yell at each other for like the whole episode, and then nothing happens. And I'm sitting here, and I'm just, why am I watching this? Like, there's nothing happening.
I think
The end of episode, what was it, 4 or 5, where she's like, "Oh, big reveal, guys, I'm from the future." And I was like, whoa. And then they all say, "Okay, nothing's changed."
yeah, I think
They literally say nothing's changed. So it's like, what was why was that important to even
What-
say to any of them?
What are the lottery numbers from the future? Prove it. Did they ask her to prove that she's from the
Like,
future? Or no?
the show has no purpose. Like,
yeah. The issue is it's like, uh, I would have a slightly different opinion from you. I would still be critical about it, but what I would say is that it like the purpose, the goal, the initial motivation, as I said, as Nier said again, has been laid out where it's like she wants to do this, but then the authors were like, okay, she has this problem, and then the solution is something to do with the photography club and the boy, right? Like at the end, like they see this happy ending where it's like, boom, like she's just like I don't know, she gets confessed, or you know, she says like I love you or something like that, and then suddenly there'll be this like scene like at the sunset or something like that, where or like at the top of the mountain or at the top of the hill where she can see the town, and just boom, like everything will go from black and white to like just like everything will just explode in the color, right, in shining color. So I think they're sort of aiming for that, but then trying to connect the problem to the actual solution in a sensible way that isn't completely just boring or like completely episodic. They just got lost, and they just ended up being like, well, she has to do something in the photography club, right? And now she's just kind of meandering around, like just being like,
well,
I guess I'll do stuff with the photography club.
in my opinion, they completely failed connecting the problem with the main character first place. Like, she just doesn't care. It seems in my
Yeah,
eyes.
she it doesn't help that the character itself is set up to just be like, I don't really want to do anything. I'm just depressed. And that
Yeah.
and like the initial that initial thing. I mean, that's a character like personality, but it also doesn't help in actually reasonably connecting it. Like if you have that sort of character, what you need to do is you need to have the outside people kind of come in and sort of like pull her along, right? But
Yeah.
this cast doesn't help her do that. Is the
But the
problem?
cast is
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah,
Nobody seems to really care about each other. Um, they're all pretty much indifferent about everything. Um, especially the apparent like love interest, which is
Mhm.
I assume is the artist. Um, but like they both seem pretty indifferent about each other. So I don't know how they're supposed to. I don't know how this is supposed to be a romance in the first place. Because
Both of them
honestly,
are very. The thing is, it's like they're
She's just
trying
not
to.
gonna go back to the future.
Wait, where? How is this romance?
yeah,
The,
that's what I ask myself.
the thing is,
Apparently,
they're the PA Works is sort of trying to represent like regular people, but they're not representing regular people in love, which is what's needed for the story, right? That's the problem. So they're just like, yeah, we'll just have these kind of like two people like hanging out, and oh, this is supposed to be a love story, which is different from oh, these two people are end up falling in love, and that's part of the story. You know what I mean?
they're barely hanging out. Is the
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
When
Because they're
they're
supposed to be like regular people, quote unquote.
when they're in the group of friends, they're like the entire room apart from each other, and then the the photography dude is like always like, oh, here's how to use your camera, and it's like, well, why not just make the photography dude the interest?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's always with. So
Maybe it'll be a bait and switch.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I love the boring guy all along. I love the,
well, I, they're all boring. You
yeah,
could like the these characters might as well be like gray blobs. They're
yeah,
just so they're so nothing.
yeah.
Even the main character
Are you saying they
is
should have
just
been represented as black and white this entire time, and then when they resolve their character arc, they turn it to color?
That'd be cooler than what they're doing right now. To be quite,
that would be immensely cooler than
that'd be
I
pretty
think
cool.
they should activate one hex color value every episode.
Yeah,
honestly
just random
really-
internet color.
I really hate the way they do the black and white stuff, right? Because
It's just there's really no point to it. I guess.
it's random too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No,
There's
exactly. No, you're right.
there's no precedent for when they use black and white.
Yeah,
Um, and the impact is completely lost because
yeah.
usually they'll show a shot in full color
Mhm.
and then make it black and white, and then they'll take the black and white filter away to show the shot again in full color. And it's like,
Or like she's just like looking out the window and it's just black and white and it's like yeah it's sad but why am I supposed to be sad here? It's like
I mean, if they were going to do something like that, they should have just made significant scenes that are visually interesting or should
Mhm.
be visually interesting in only black and white and only show you
yes,
that.
that's the
exactly
thing.
exactly.
Like that, there's one scene which was kind of okay, with where she first enters the magic shop. She
Mhm.
first walks into the magic shop and it's completely black and white for like half the thing,
Mhm.
right? And then she talks to the clerk and it goes into full color, and you
Mhm. Yeah.
just how colorful all the magic stuff is,
Right.
right? That was interesting.
Yeah, it should be
They
like
don't.
it should be like a game or something like that where it's like she does certain things and only then does the like viewer get to see everything in color.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that like big switch, right? Like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
see the switch in the environment. It was interesting. But then they'll do stuff where it's like, here's this bright, colorful cherry blossom tree. By the way, look at it in black and white now.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, okay, you're not
It's
like
just black and white now.
there's no tonal consistency here. Like there's no impact to doing this. There's no point in it. And even when she was first talking to the artist dude, like on the rooftop, the school rooftop, and it's like this bright, beautiful sunset, is shining down on her face, and it's in
Mhm.
full color, and she's talking about her ashen world, and it's like, okay, this scene would like be a lot more impactful
Mhm.
if you did this in black and white,
Right. Exactly.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
but they don't. They do it in full color. They show this full color sunset, like cascading onto her face and shining through her hair. But then she's talking about how empty and colorless the world is, and it's like,
Yeah.
so you're not you're not matching tonally right now. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this show just has like no focus at all.
Yeah.
Um,
I think honestly, the people kind of related to him might have something to do with it because this guy was the one who headed stuff like Red Data Girl and Black Rock
yeah,
Shooter.
yeah, I saw, but
and stuff like
I don't know. I just this show is just it's so nothing, right?
that. Yeah. I think PA also is starting to have this slight problem of like I don't know like if it's just like people over there or what's going on, but it's like when they're not working on like adaptations, it seems they're very lost on what to do. Like this stuff like yeah, this and like Last Up, right? I think Sirius the Jaeger was that an
That was
original?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was original.
Yeah.
Doc,
Was it-
I see what you did. Very nice.
but like Glass Slip and like Sirius was okay, right? I think.
I mean, it looked nice.
Yeah.
It was a serviceable action series. It was very generic, but
Yeah.
you know,
Like Sirius and like Sirius the Jaeger and like Shirobako turned out okay, but it's like stuff like Glass Slip and like Iriduku, when P works, isn't being sort of led around the nose by somebody like Okada Mari or something like that. It seems like they're having a lot of trouble with these sorts of series, and that kind of worries me. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about that. It's like
yeah,
okay,
I don't know. I just don't know who's doing their like character writing, you know,
yeah,
because
yeah, exactly.
when it's not when it's not Okada Marie or I guess uh whoever was doing like Sakura Quest or something, right?
Right, exactly.
Um, they just seem to like not be able to create like just normal human interaction. 'Cause- well, I don't know if I should say that because Iridoku, the interactions like they're there. Like you can listen to them and be like, okay, this sounds fine, but like in the context of like what should be happening in the show,
Mm.
um, like you're just watching and you're in a like you just this nagging thing in the back of your mind is just like why are any of these characters even speaking right now? There's no point to it, you know,
Yeah.
because they're saying pointless shit. Um, all the reactions they're having are like completely trivial. The main character is sitting there like a wet rock, and like nothing's being achieved.
You're right,
Um,
exactly. It's very much of like it's such a mess, or it's not a mess. It's just like the writing just seems very lost. It just
yeah,
seems very
just I just don't think they know what they're trying to do. Like,
there's
um,
they have like very general ideas like somewhere slapped down on like a post-it, but it's nothing beyond that, and it's very unfortunate. They're like, this girl wants colors back, I guess, and then she uses some sort of club, kind of, I guess. And then, like that's the series. Like,
yeah.
yeah, very unfortunate. But yeah, any last words you had about the series? Obviously, recommending it or
Well,
not, etc.
I don't know. I don't really want to get into my nitpicks with the whole photography stuff because
Mm-hmm.
anime is pretty much never gonna get photography right.
Right.
I don't know, man.
I don't
Photokana
know.
was pretty good.
Otokata.
Like I think honestly, you remember like the photography girl in Just Because?
Yes.
That's honestly like most accurate like photography hobbyist I've ever seen in an anime,
Ah, okay.
right?
What about Hata-san from Setokai Yakuin Domo?
Shut up.
I
I don't know.
don't
I'm trying to think of other like photo girls. That's all I got.
Whatever.
Well, most of them are pretty like they're relatively brief in what they show, but
Fatal Frame? No, that doesn't count.
Shut up.
keep going here.
But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to like the show, right?
No.
Because it's a PA work show. You want
Mhm.
you want PA work shows to be good.
Right.
PA Works has made some pretty amazing stuff,
Right.
but just from like just immediately this show hits you with just a wall of just wow, this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
It's visually confusing, it's tonally confusing. The character is a just flat. The main character is just completely honestly worthless. Like there's nothing there. Like she's just completely wide-eyed, and her reactions are completely flaccid to everything.
Mhm.
And I don't. It's just this show has nothing going for it, really. The audio visuals are okay, I guess. Really, nothing super impressive, especially for PA Works. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
There,
Honestly,
there's
the
a way
only
to
thing
do like
I actually enjoy about the show is Toyama Nao's performance. That's about it.
Well, Toyama is definitely much pretty. It's Toyama now, so I don't know what else to say about that. But yeah, it's very unfortunate. And again, this sort of smacks of the whole thing that we talked about a little bit earlier on, where it's like PA Works right now, unless they get a solid sort of slice of life writer on the scene, I think it's becoming very, very hard for them to do like these original works. It's just not really going places. So
Yeah.
very unfortunate.
there's a way to do like silent, apathetic characters, and it seems like this series didn't do it the way that you're used to. Is this correct?
Well,
it just didn't
do it-
connect stuff. That's the
it-
problem.
It doesn't do it in a decent manner in general. Like she's just void of like any real human emotion, and because of that, all of her like she brushes everything off as just being like completely dismissive of everything, which it like first impressions makes her seem like a complete bitch because she treats her grandmother like shit in the first 5 minutes. Um, although her grandmother kind of sends her back in time against her will, so maybe
Yeah, exactly.
So
maybe she kind of deserves. But like this main character is just like it's not likable in any way.
The main character is out of it, which I think is a personality that could be had, but then the cast doesn't help prop her up for the story,
Yeah,
which is
the main
bad.
character seems like drugged out for the
Yeah.
majority of the series, and then the cast kind of just drags her along, and then the main character is just pretty much like I'm here, I'm on the screen.
Right.
Um, she doesn't really do anything. She doesn't have any like inner monologue other than I hate magic.
Yeah,
I
I,
mean,
I hate magic.
most of the time,
The series never really explains why she hates magic or what she even really means by I hate magic, because she does magic multiple times.
Mhm.
And when she does magic, she's like, "Wow, magic's cool," and then she's like, "I hate magic,"
But
and you're kind of just left wondering,
yeah,
what
it's
what does she
it-
mean by this?
it's a case. It's partly a case of the like we want to be vague to be cool, but then it just ends up becoming vague and confusing, and it's very unfortunate.
Yeah,
But yeah, and
I would not recommend this to anybody.
to anybody. Literally, do not ever watch it. But yeah, thank you very much for that review, Nier. And that was Iruzuku, The World in Colors.
more like the world of not color.
Rods and cones.
Rods and cones.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, we are almost done, except for our last series, which may be
The biggest one of
yeah,
this
the biggest
generation.
one.
Wait, who would win in a fight? Wide Sora or Long Ornstein?
My bet's on Long Ornstein.
Probably Sora.
Oh my God, stop. Oh my God.
Okay, let's
But-
get down to like the real shit.
Okay, so we are going to be covering, with the help of Dark here, Twaru Majutsu no Index 3, or Season 3 of Index. The
Is
season,
that the titular character Index I see up there?
It
yes.
sure is. No,
And
her
this
name
is, a
is
season.
Indy now.
Yeah.
Indiana Jonesy.
This is a series that Kazuma Miki had to bow down to Dugeza in front of people, just because he was sorry for not releasing it earlier. And now it's out. So,
So to recap, what are the two series before this? Because this is season 3. So was
Index season 1 and 2. Imagine that.
2.
where does Railgun fall into this? It's not
Railgun,
part of the.
Railgun is a side story.
Yeah, so Railgun
Why,
is a
why,
side
why was
story.
it so much better than the regular?
Well,
We'll get into that.
that's a good question, but I mean, to be fair, there are like other examples. There have been other series like that, right? Like Magi Sinbad's adventures have been better than Magi. So,
Was that
But
the one
anyway,
that with the blue dude was actually Sonic?
what?
Or was that the one where the blue dude was basically Sonic, and it was like Nintendo versus Sega? Or am I thinking of a different
No, no,
series?
no, no. That's Ao no Chushinde. That's
Uh,
Magi. Magi is different. Magi.
okay.
But yeah. Anyways, keep going, Dark.
Anywho, so Index season 3 started up,
Mhm.
and boy, is it a show. Um, I mean,
I mean, it's
I
Index.
can't even really give a synopsis at this point. Like, if you don't know Index, like, go fucking look it up.
Yeah.
Who is the
nah,
Index?
The
Who is the
Index,
Index?
the Index is actually a girl named Index
Just for a
because she
character.
is an Index, and she holds all knowledge and like holy books in her brain or something.
Why though?
Didn't she get her
Because-
clothes ripped in episode 1?
Didn't she get what?
Didn't she get her clothes ripped by episode 1? And there was this whole
Yes,
plot
because
point of
Toma has his right arm cancels all magic, and her robes were enchanted for defense. So when he tried to push her or something, her robes exploded. Imagine
to
that.
be. That's as far as I got into Index, to be honest, because there was just like, oh,
Wow,
she
so
got
you
injured
got,
after
like
that.
3 minutes into episode like 5 or 3.
Yeah.
Kinda. There's this whole thing of, oh, you got hurt because, but you're not supposed to get hurt because he touched you, and I was like, what?
Yeah, because her what's it called? Her allies came to get her, and so they were just gonna knock her out. But since she had was supposed to have like the defensive barrier, he just like went
Right.
all out to just knock her out, and then it wound up just injuring her.
Alright.
Anywho, so
Mhm.
that's a synopsis of episode 2 of Index season 1.
So you want to give us the general, I guess. I know you shouldn't give a synopsis, but do you want to just talk about? Do you want not talk about? Do you want to just say the general arcs that are covered in Index 3 or have been covered so far in Index 3? Not even like
Dude, I've seen
describing
2
them, just like
episodes.
titles.
I don't even
Okay.
remember some of them. Index season 3 doesn't seem to have gone very far because they're only just
So what
getting
you're telling
they're
me is
only
that there's
just
going to be a
getting
part
up
2.
to
There's going to be a
level-
part 2 of season.
No, it's
2.
just 26
season 3.
episodes.
Index 3.2?
So what
Index
you're
season
telling
3
me
is
is that
26
there's going to be a. So what you're telling me is that there's going to be another 12 episodes after these 26
No, because
episodes.
people are apparently very upset that they cut out a lot of shit.
What do you mean? This is okay. This is what I fucking hate about Index.
Index
this is
season
our
3
Become a
would
Dragon.
have to be like fucking 72
Yeah,
episodes to fit in the amount of
it's
time.
exactly like how when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, right? People were like, "Oh man, some people were like, oh man, they cut out so much bullshit, blah 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 blah." And it's like, you realize what the Lord of the Rings books are like, right? It's like you can't put that into a movie. It's
So
like
this
that's
is
not how it works.
so this is like the Lord of the Rings of anime,
Frodo
really?
picks his toes for 20 minutes. What the fuck?
But yeah, it's uh, like like you cannot put Index into you cannot put the rest of Index pre New Testament into 26 episodes. That's just not happening. So you do have to cut out a lot of
But that's what they should have done with spin-offs in this 7-year hiatus.
it.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
it's almost like they shouldn't have had a 7-year hiatus. Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, keep
So
going.
yeah, basically, if you don't know the world of Index, magic is a thing, but superpowers based on like science are also a thing, and they kind of
Right.
clash with each other.
Mhm.
So it's like the world of Fate.
No, not really. Well, who has a superpower in Fate that's based on science?
Magicians.
That's
Hmm. It's very interesting.
Modern magic is based more off of science than ancient magic.
I
I'd
Based
also
on
like to point out that Zlade's like, the episodes about Accelerator are so good. Here's the thing.
Yep.
This gets into the whole thing that Toast brought up with why is Railgun better?
Mhm.
Because when you start to cut down on things like 37 different external factions of different magicians, it
Mhm.
gets a lot better.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
what all the spin-offs do, and when it goes to Accelerator and like the other characters, what happens because they either don't know about it or they don't know as much as Toma.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing is, honestly, again, this is sort of continuing off of this. So talk about the accelerated thing. First of all, there is an accelerator anime coming out based off the manga spin-off of which was the sort of the original, right?
I was
Start.
thinking about that a lot, by the way. That's also probably slightly better than at this point.
That's probably also yeah. It just needs to update it more than every once a year. Yeah.
More than like
But
a bi-yearly manga.
the thing is, I'm slightly an optimist in the fact that I believe that if the author of Index had simply sort of, again, as we described, cut out a lot of the other like factions, stuff like that, and focus a little bit more on Toma's stuff and stuff like it. Maybe add in more like accelerator, focus on these two kind of handling stuff, and cut out the stupid fucking other character like Hamazura Shiage or whoever this third protagonist is. Like, we don't need a third protagonist, okay? Like, we don't. We do not need a third protagonist. So like, if he got cut out and like the other two characters kind of did their stuff and Toma kind of had more like moments where that aren't related to him just getting his ass blasted by like the 30th witches faction or whatever, like I think we'd be cool with that. But that's apparently not how Index works.
So wait, who's the third protagonist? There's Toma, there's Index, and there's
No. Index is not a
what?
protagonist.
No, Index isn't a
What?
protagonist. It's Toma, Accelerator, and
You're right, exactly. And
Shiage.
Hamazura Shiage.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So
Like-
Hamazura Shiage is like he started off as like an antagonist, like a small like nobody antagonist role in Index, and then he grew to be this like really like weird like third like second deuteragonist role, like a third protagonist role in the
A tertiary agonist? Tertiary protagonist? What?
it would be a secondary deuteragonist or a third protagonist essentially. But the idea is that he's supposed to be like, how it's like Toma is like the meme is that he doesn't really have powers, quote unquote. His supposed thing is about canceling powers, right? So Hamazura Shiage goes in even a level even lower than that, where he literally is a level 0. He does not have anything. He doesn't have the ability to cancel powers. He just sucks.
So he's like Zenkichi in Madaka Box? I don't know.
Zenkichi ends up having some powers though.
Don't spoiler.
But yeah, so he's sort of like that. He doesn't have any powers, but he has this like weird like luck or something like that, or so the essentially the way like Aleister Crowley or like somebody else ended up describing.
He's a fucking anomaly.
Yeah, he's like an anomaly. He's like a wrench in like the works or something like that. He's like he doesn't do anything, but like for some reason he gets lucky and like everything like the enemy's plan all goes awry, which kind of sucks in terms of storytelling because at the end of the day he's literally just like not really doing anything and then he kind of stumbles into the solution, which is less like storytelling and more kind of just winning the lottery a lot of the time. So
And
yeah,
also what Toma used to be described as anyway, so what sense does
So-
that
right,
make?
exactly.
Toma's literally his original thing
So
is
there's
that not
overlap.
only does he cancel out magic, he cancels out his own fate. Like he's not bound by fate or
So-
prediction.
So he's like
Oh,
Gene
no.
from God Hand.
Yes. I don't know, man.
But yeah, so what again we assume the audience kind of knows the basis of Index, and now we're just going to be kind of talking about Index 3, the anime, like the adaptation specifically, right? And how the adaptation formed. Um, I know you only said you only
I've
watched
only
like
seen
2
two
episodes.
episodes.
Yeah, but how did you feel? I mean, how did you feel about first the sort of? Are you okay with the pacing?
Are you okay?
I
Do you
mean,
need
I'm
someone to
as
talk
okay
to?
as I could be. No.
Yeah.
Am I okay as a fan? God no.
Yeah.
No.
So
and there
yeah,
was no way to make it okay because I
yeah,
don't
exactly.
like
That's
the
the
rest
problem.
of Index
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. World
Um,
War Three, dude. There's nothing wrong with that. But do you think? Do you think it would be better for the series to not like even for season 3 to not finish the Old Testament and just leave it as B, and then just be like, okay, well, the rest of the stuff is in the light novel, and there's just too much material. We'll just give it up. Do
nah,
you
at
think
this
it's better
point, fuck
for
it. Cut out more
that,
shit. Just
or
cut out
do you
as
think
much
it's
as you
better?
need to and fucking get to New
So
Testament.
you so you
There's
think they
gonna be a
should just
lot
wrap
of
it up
unimportant.
in
There's gonna be
26
a lot.
episodes?
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of unimportant shit at least. There's
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
true.
like.
There's a,
There's a lot of. I've seen a lot of people complain about introspection and stuff like that, or like internal monologues that characters have, and it's like, well,
yeah.
listen. Like I said before, if you want to even get anywhere in Index, you're going to have to cut out 90% of that because guess what?
Like
Maybe we don't need to know what Meltdowner ate for breakfast on Tuesday. Like,
yeah, the issue is it's like especially with regards to the actual anime, right? It's like you know how it's like one of the most popular, if not the most popular, uh, YouTube videos with regards to Index uh, is the one of like Accelerator punching out Awaki, right? So honestly, in my opinion, I think as long as Index keeps you know the ending, which is the conclusion, right? Which is essentially Toma like just punching to death all of like the right hand and like all the different like parts of the church or whatever, right? They keep that, and then they also keep Accelerator like ascending, right, in the middle of the Russian winter. If they keep those two, then I think pretty much 80% of the people will be satisfied. I think that's how it works, right?
yeah, I mean, I'm seeing like I think he's one of the level 5s or something, but I
Mhm.
see a thumbnail of the dude with the sword, like the dude with the big ass sword for episode 8, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
you
Is that like
honestly,
Aqua of the back or something like that?
huh? No, it's just there. Like
Is
that's
that
a
Aqua of the
central.
back?
Wait, what?
Is that Aqua of the back or something
Is
like that?
that who that is?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
That's Aqua
really
of the
like
back.
is his entire like situation like is his shit really that I don't know. It's like there's a lot of focus on just parts that could be cut down, like fights that could be cut down, sections that could still be cut down. Like episode 1, half of the episode was taken up by some old lady talking to Toma, and then the what's his name shoots her in the fucking stomach. Toma's friend. Forget. I always forget what his name is though.
What?
The
Was
dude with
she
the
a
yellow
scroll
hair.
or something?
No, she was part of like um. What was she? She's like one of like like one of the head honchos or something for Academy City. Like she's one of like the people who work underground essentially, but she's like a bigwig for that.
Mhm.
And so he just like shoots her in the stomach after she tells Toma a bunch of shit, and then Toma punches him as he does. And he was like, "No, we had to do this. Would have killed their whole family." And then they get on a plane, and it hard cuts to them on like a fucking plane heading to, I think France. And that that's episode 1, but like half of that episode was taken up by this old lady just monologue, like
Yeah.
Toma, and it's like, well, it's not really that necessary. It's like that could have been like a 3-minute scene of her being like, "Oh, like like here's this monologue," and then she gets shot, and then they go. Like it didn't need to be 10 minutes of that to like try and make you feel something for this person. That
Yeah.
is very much insignificant. Um, I mean, if you want to see some wild shit, you go to Mall and you go to the character listing, and there's like 40 fucking characters listed, voice actors. So even though they say supporting, they're pretty prevalent. So imagine what it would be like if they didn't cut down on time. It would. I mean, generally, like Index would have to be a show, almost like a shonen show set up like Naruto or Boruto,
Yeah, exactly.
where you have like a continuous story that's gonna last like 400 episodes.
Yeah, honestly, unless that happens, like Index is not going to
It's
get.
gonna it's not gonna get the full thing.
Honestly, I would have preferred. Obviously, this is speaking for me, more being a heavy light novel, web novel stuff reader. But I think I would have preferred for them to have just done a solid, coverage of everything up to the start of World War III, stuff like that, and then just been like, okay, go watch or go read World War III.
The heck's World War III?
It's an entire arc in Index, Old Testament.
Is it because Toma punched a girl and negated her
Yes.
powers?
Yes. He ate the girl and gained her powers, her Esper powers. But it, it's a mess because it's like it's such a big series and people want anime of that so badly. But it's also like I think most people that have talked about like Index kind of know in the back of their minds that this is not going to be great pacing wise, but then they kind of want to ram it through anyways. You know what I mean? And that's slightly upsetting to me.
Well,
in a
because some of
sense.
these people are legitimately insane, and they think that it's going to be like or something where they're like, "Yeah, I don't understand. Why couldn't you just dedicate 400 episodes to it?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't know, maybe because we want to move on with our fucking lives.
I don't want to be like showing like Index episode 400 to my grandchildren, right? Like that's not the thing I
Yeah,
want.
like I'm gonna have to show New Testament season 3 them anyway.
Yeah.
So the year
Oh,
2075.
yeah,
But
but
it's just so like that whole pacing thing was silly. Uh, the audio visuals are kind of weak, to be honest, from what I watched. Like parts of it looks kind of shiny, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then other parts of it, I'm just kind of like, yeah, is it 2011 again? like what the fuck? Like that doesn't look
it's
good.
JC
That
Staff
doesn't look
covering
right.
this, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
JC Staff is it's an homage, okay, to season 2.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. It's like they looked back at season 2 and they were like, "Okay, guys, we gotta make it look just like this." Wait, what?
Hire
Don't do that.
everyone 7 years ago.
It's like do you want to make it more like Shokugeki no Soma or anything more flashy? No. We're going back. We're doing this old school.
They're like they're digging up their old computers from the trash and dusting them off, getting ready
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah, and like I'd have to go back and look at Railgun S again, but I'm almost confident in saying that there are significant amount of things that look better in Railgun S than do in this.
The thing is, it's like so I'm going through like this mail page, and like I obviously don't usually do this, but something caught my eye, and it was like it got like 7.61, and the reason is like everybody's just rating it like 6 or like or not 6, but
No, people are
everybody's
hitting it with
rating it like 3.
threes and like
Yeah, 3.
ones because they're
And
like,
it's
"Oh my god, they're not adapting. It's not a straight edit."
Yeah, exactly. And
It's
it's
like, what are you
yeah, it's like,
thinking?
you can't do that.
It would never work, you fucking lunatics.
Yeah, it's so fortunate. Like there are like series that JC staff have legitimately fucked up. Again, stuff like Little Busters and so on. But it's like this is not what I've done. But it's very unfortunate that in a sense they were forced into doing this. I mean, they weren't forced into doing this. Like they knew to get the money, but it's like the viewers were sort of like they were just kind of asking, like they were sort of asking to get punched in the mouth with this, right? It's like
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
yeah, it's
I'll still say like I wanted this, I want this, and I still want it, and I want it to finish. But
yeah.
am I sitting here gonna say like confident? Oh man, I'm gonna have a great time. Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably not.
yeah, it's very very difficult for that to happen.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
On a
There's
note of
not really
the
much.
audiovisuals, by the way, too, the CG I saw in episode 2 is horrendous.
Sketchy at best.
No, I was talking to Toast. I was like, I don't think they've updated. They didn't. There's no way they updated this model since Index Season 1.
Oh no.
Like the armored suits that like the police force wear or whatever.
Is JC staff doing other stuff this season? They have to be, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're doing a lot of shit now.
They're
Yeah,
busy
that might
working
be
on
part
the 10-year plan for One Punch Man, dude.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're also working on fucking what's it called? Probably I can't imagine they weren't setting up for that side of It Alive season 3
yeah.
because like they have to actually set up for that a lot more. I'd imagine since
They're doing
it's not like they
sorry.
did fucking season 2.
Yeah, they're also doing what is it, like Million Arthur and like no, yeah, they're doing Million Arthur and they're setting up for other stuff, right? Yeah, like One Punch Man and stuff like that, yeah. But I don't know, it's very, very unfortunate, but I mean this is how it goes.
Yeah, I
Any
mean
last
it's not
words?
that bad. Like I saw like a fight scene and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
pretty
think. I
alright.
mean, if it was actually bad, like if Index season 3 was like not just like oh not up to expectations, which was more or less going to happen, but like if it was actually objectively like not good, people will be rioting in the streets. Like people will be like just going into like Dengeki Bunko, just being like knocking on the doors. They're not even related to this anime. Like just going into Dengeki Bunko offices anyway. It's just like fucking destroying chairs, destroying offices. Like it'll be a mess. So,
I bought
here's how you
Fighting
know.
Climax for this.
Here's how you know, like, this is horse shit. Is that the mall rating for Index Season 3 is lower than the Endymion. Like, that's
lower
not
than Fate
possible.
Last Encore.
It's lower than Endymion. Like, Index Season 3 has a 7.61, Endymion has a 7.64. And it's like, if you've seen Endymion,
Endymion is not.
that is not a 7.6 anything.
What are
Oh.
you talking about?
Please. Oh my god. But yeah, yeah,
But
very
yeah,
unfortunate.
there's a lot of unfortunate parts about it, but you know,
Mhm.
I mean, if you're a fan of the series, like, I'm so sorry, but I'm in the same boat. If
Are you gonna get off the boat?
no, God no, get me on until I die.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I would say I'm like happy enough, I guess. Like this is what I was expecting. Like all these people are out here expecting like wild shit. I was like, no, they're not gonna cover like fucking everything about everything. Like it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Shit, people should have been expecting that. Like fucking what's his name's fight and like his whole arc. Aqua. He was fucking covered in the PSP fucking arena
Yeah,
brawler
yeah,
for
exactly, exactly.
Index.
I was about to mention that. It's like Aqua in the back, like was featured in that like way early like Index game, like way or that even it wasn't even an index game. It was a brawler, and then it had like index stuff in there or
No,
something
no,
like
no.
that.
It was an index game. It was
It
a
was
brawler,
an
and it
index
had a
game.
story mode, and he was in it, and like all these
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people were in it, and that's why
Yeah.
I know about them. And I'm like,
Yeah, that appeared like years before this thing did.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, dude, what the fuck did you expect? Like,
Yeah,
you see how much shit was trying to cram into like some fucking
yeah,
arena brawler? How are you gonna do? Now imagine that times like 1,000. How are you gonna fit that in a 26 episode anime? Like, it's
yeah,
just not
exactly.
gonna happen.
It's just it's impossible.
I mean,
But
fuck,
yeah,
dude. Here's the telling thing too: is I don't remember who I was talking to. I don't remember if it was Toast or Near earlier today, but I finished episode 1, and I'm just like, or I get further in episode 1, and I'm just like, I don't want this, man. They just fucking they name drop the United Nations and like 3 different religions in like fucking 5 minutes of each other.
by
Like
the way,
in the
here's a
same
Wikipedia
conversation.
article for like here's like 5 different Wikipedia articles for like
You
for
know, like
like something you need to know.
you know, it's been like fucking 7 years, and Makoto walks away from Toma, and she's like, "No, I don't know what's going on, but what happened on September 30th?" And I'm sitting there,
Where
and I'm like, "Wait, what happened on September 30th?" You can't just, I was like, you can't just come out here and fucking have a conversation picking up from season 2. Like, ugh, yeah, it's an interesting time to be an Index fan.
yeah, it's very
My advice would be, many other people, uh, stop being an Index fan, become
give it up.
yeah, give it up, become a Railgun fan, and just wait. And just wait, because it's
The real
written by a different person. It's got better pacing, and it's got less characters and less shit to split everything up between.
you know what'll happen though is like after this, like let's say I don't want to say 2 to 4 years after this, people will be like, so when's New Testament? When's New Testament?
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
no, they can't win. Like does like there's no way JC staff can think that they're gonna win this war.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
You know,
this is World War III, and JC
Yeah.
staff is trying to fucking fight.
you know
They're
what,
just
Dark,
ruining themselves.
Dark. The way you said you just watch in Railgun instead of Index. That's the same argument I've heard some people say about Fate, where the original stuff sucks. Just watch Fate Zero instead. And then I'm like,
I mean,
no.
would you not tell someone just watch Fate Zero and like 2014 Say Night?
Yeah.
Like, would you actually tell someone like, no, you have to go back and watch D? Like, do they really have to? Like,
No, you tell people to read the VN and
Yeah,
stop
exactly.
being dirty secondaries.
You read the VN and you turn on Dean's soundtrack, but you don't watch Dean at all.
That's the most whack.
The intended experience.
Yeah, that's. Oh Jesus.
That's the most optimal.
just rub your chin like quizzically at the Lancer Archer screen cap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that would legitimately be my advice. Like, if you have any sort of love for the, because for me, I've always liked Railgun more than anime. Railgun was what wound up, I think, getting me into Index. So I
Mhm.
saw Railgun and I was like, oh, superpower shit. And I saw Index and I was like, okay, I guess I'll check this. Like, I guess I'll watch the
what
main series.
what is the railgun? Is that
What?
when she flicks the coin at you?
Yeah, because that's her super. That's her own special technique. Her finishing move, her Hisatsu, if you will.
Satsu no Waza.
Um, but yeah, like that. I think that and Accelerator series is probably gonna be a much better thing to just watch. Like, Index at this point, like if it's gotten to the point where you have to feel like it the same way you feel like something like Naruto, where like once it starts getting towards the end, the feeling isn't, oh, you can either pick this up or you can sit there and like recommend it. You're just in for the ride, and you're locked in, and you're not gonna get out until it's over. the ones that you can do that for is Railgun and the Accelerator spinoff because they're a lot more concise. They're a lot more there's a lot more like actual character development because of sheer less amount of characters. And it's just a lot easier to follow.
Yeah, it's
A lot more
It-
tonally
it's-
consistent too. Like Index has always had a weird thing where it seems like nothing will really go wrong in the end, like it'll all work out. But then, you get you get episodes where Toma like saves a person who for all intents and purposes should be dead 7 times over.
right.
But then you also have this episode where Toma's best friend just shoots an old lady anyway. And then they leave. So I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
strange situation.
Yeah, it's like the thing is, it's like if you had read like, or if you just kind of understood how the light novels were all made, it's like you can kind of see this coming, but it's like it was also inevitable. Like it had to come, like just because the fans would want something, just anything to just chew on, and again, this is sort of what happened. Very unfortunate, but
Yeah, I mean,
oh,
I expected this. I'm okay
Yeah.
with it. I'm alright with it because you know
Yeah.
what? They announced a new railgun project, and that's going to be better. And they announced the accelerator project, and that's also probably going to be better.
Wasn't the Railgun Project the virtual on game, or is that
No,
something new?
no. They literally announced a railgun anime in the works when they announced the accelerator one.
Wow, it's almost like they knew this would go bad.
Well, they also know that people expect it, right? Because like every single time Index has released, it's always released a year or like 2 or 3 seasons only before a new railgun came out. So as soon as Index like got a release date, people were already asking, okay, but where's Railgun Season 3?
It's again very fucked up. But anyways, last
At
words from Dark.
least it's out. Would you rather it not be out, or would you rather have it out?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather have it out because then we get
All right.
Railgun and we get Accelerator, and it's also like this is the best it's gonna be unless you're wanted a 400 episode show. I would rather have a show that has some gaps and like some weird shit with characters because you can't fit 700 into one like season.
Yeah.
But to only
But-
have it be 26 episodes and tell the story at least, and then I can go back and like either read parts of it, read the manga, read their backstory somewhere else, and find out that shit, and not have like 400 episodes of like headed out nonsense that didn't even need to be discussed.
But
Right.
but when's the Kanzaki Ranko spinoff? That's the girl with the 7 thread thing, right?
You mean Kanzaki Kaori?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kanzaki
sure.
Ranko is Idolmaster.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you, dude. I am fucking shocked that Kanzaki Kaori has not had their like that her and like Still Magnus and like Index haven't had
Isn't
their
she
own
the fan
spin-off
favorite?
of just them. No, I mean the
Yeah.
fan favorite is always Makoto. Like Makoto wins every single fucking
Yeah, pretty much.
what's it called? Hands down. Like it's not even close.
Popularity contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every fucking popularity contest
Yeah,
always
yeah,
goes to
yeah,
Makoto.
yeah. No, he's right.
But Kanzaki Kaori, yeah, no, she is definitely a fan favorite in general. But
Mhm.
I mean, if you were to
I've
ask
read
me,
the
if you were
dojins
to
about
say-
her. She's pretty cool.
If you were to say like who's the next character you would expect to get a spin-off, I would say that. I would say her, Still, and In would have like a because they were a team before Index even happened, like as a series. So I would
Yeah.
have expected them to get one.
Oh. Anyways,
Maybe one day.
yeah, maybe one day. Any last words on Index before we move on?
How is the opening compared to Only My Railgun? That's still my favorite.
The opening is very boring. Every other opening.
Yeah, it's not great.
So just wait for Only My Railgun 2, 3.
We'll have the guy like naked dancing in the snow for the music video again.
Just bring back everyone who was in Only My Railgun opening and just put them back in for for season 2 of Railgun 3. What's that
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, they'll have season 3. They'll have it. I believe.
Anyway,
It's strange
anyways,
seeing.
any
It's
last
strange.
words?
Yeah. If you were a fan, watch it. If you aren't,
Mhm.
you
Or
probably
not.
shouldn't.
Yeah, probably don't.
What if I'm not a fan? Is this a good time to be
No, that's
watching?
what I mean. Definitely don't
Railgun?
watch season 3. Watch
Yeah.
Railgun. Like
Probably
the
watch
Accelerator
Railgun or
manga.
Accelerator coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually seen
And then if you,
Railgun more than
and
I've
then if
seen
you really want to know,
Index.
like, if you really want to get in there, then I guess watch Index.
Right.
Because it does have very good moments. It is quite good when it gets good, but it's just not going to be what everyone wants it to be because it's not possible.
It's not the it's not unlimited. It's not what Unlimited Blade Works is to Dean. As
Well, I mean, in general, think about it. Think about it this way: if you want to use Fate as an analogy, imagine if Fate wasn't like the series of different timelines or whatever, like different choices from the VN. And imagine if it was just a linear path.
you mean like the manga?
I guess. No.
Yeah.
Imagine if like Heaven's Feel and like if Stay Night
mean-
and what is it? Which is the one with the one that came out with what's it called?
Unlimited Blade Works?
No, the one that like just came out recently that you've
Heaven's
watched
Feel?
like 32 times. The one from
Last Encore?
Yeah, and like Last Encore. Like imagine if anything from Fate, if they didn't do any alternate timelines and it was like that much content trying to be just a continuation.
So that's
not
basically,
gonna f-
that's basically what the manga is. It's a mishmash of Heaven's Feel of all three routes. For some reason.
I don't even mean like all 3 routes. Just imagine each separate route like that much, but trying to just be like in a straight line.
That's impossible.
It's not gonna be easy.
Imagine if Apocrypha was an actual sequel.
I thought Apocrypha took place like 40 years before Fate Zero.
No.
Anyways, no.
When does Empire of Dirt take place?
All right, we need to move on. Sorry.
It's not even canon.
Yeah, okay, we need to move on. But anyways, thank you, Dark, for covering Index 3. I know it was a little bit rough on the road. We obviously could have covered everything, but we did as much as possible. But again, thank you for helping cover Index 3. And with that, we will move on to the news. A lot of news today, so we're not going to actually do the people news this time around. And I guess we should just quickly start off with the, gaming front. So there's 2 pieces of news on the gaming front. First piece of news. Business news website Bloomberg published an article on Monday that reported that while Japan's mobile gaming market is growing, Japanese games are losing market share to Chinese and South Korean games. So a lot of these sorts of the increase of gacha games and increase in profitability. So the industry of gacha games as a whole earned US $13 billion last year. However, the article showed a downward trend of profits for most Japanese mobile game developers and publishers, with a combined operating profit from Japan's 7 largest smartphone game publishers falling by 21% in the last fiscal year. And the companies losing a collective $6 billion US in stock market value since January. So, a lot of the article also noted an overall recent trend for many of these publishers to turn their attentions to other endeavors outside of smartphone games. Meanwhile, there are other a lot of popular Chinese and South Korean mobile games on the up and up that are sort of gaining these market shares. So pretty interesting time how Japanese, I guess partly it's due to all this competition and also established games, right? Like Grand Blue Fantasy, FGO, stuff like that, that are sort of staying there and not letting other people kind of get in. But hearing that these Japanese developers are losing a lot of money on these gacha games is actually pretty surprising to me.
How much did they make from Fate Zero or Fate Grand Order?
There's like domestic sales numbers, but I forget. But yeah. Anyways, pretty interesting.
Are they losing money?
Or they're not. Overall, they're making. So it's like the exact thing is like they're making money, but there is a downward trend of profits. So they're slowly making less and less profits from this, essentially. So yeah, pretty. It'll be pretty interesting to see how it goes.
Mobile games are dead, dude.
Already dead. Next piece of news: a representative from game developer Light, who was behind the visual novel Dies Irae, said in a live stream presentation on October 26th that the company submitted an application to get its game Silverio Trinity on Sony platforms, but the application has not yet passed. The representative from Light alluded in the live stream to new policies at Sony about 18 plus games on its PlayStation consoles, blah, blah, blah. It looks as though Sony is going in a direction of not allowing us to release games rated 18 plus worldwide. He said, since our game is 18 plus, there's strict inspection and we're getting various questions that we are asked to answer entirely in English. So there's a lot of this sort of censorship stuff going on.
I've heard that this censorship thing started because Sony moved their main studio from Japan to California.
Yep.
Yeah.
My game.
There's a lot of there's a lot. So a lot of these projects that are kind of being bottlenecked right now are sort of like ones that have already been in like I want to say like stuff like PSP, stuff like that, and like a PC before, but then they're sort of like remaking it for they're essentially just porting it back to the PS4, right? But Sony is not allowing that, which is very unfortunate. So I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate all around because it's like I don't know. First of all, it's not really like for visual novel companies. It's not really like they need PC. I mean, they really need PlayStation because like 99% of the stuff is already on PC anyways. But it's like to kill off this sort of, burgeoning attempt at globalization, right? Just being like, no, we're just gonna fuck you in the ass like this. Like,
Hey,
it's
you know
very
what's the fastest way to kill your Japanese games massive company is to let Silicon Valley retards decide like your entire fucking policies and make your fucking Japanese support base have to go through inspection checks in fucking English.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's very, very weird how it's going on, and it's not like again, like there are other 18 plus games, like you know what I mean. Like it's not like PlayStation is some sort of like console for kids.
You heard of Manga Gamer?
I mean, the thing is, again, this is for PlayStation, but it's like it's very unfortunate how this is going on, and we'll see how it develops later on down the road. Hitting a lot of different bigger visual novel developers like August and stuff like that too. So we'll see how it goes. Next piece of news: Funimation announced on Friday that more than 300 of its subtitle anime works will return to its Funimation Now service starting on Friday. The company plans to add the anime works "quote unquote" over the next few days. Funimation is adding the titles to its now Funimation Now service due to the termination of the partnership between Funimation and Crunchyroll. Funimation also clarified that certain shows that were part of Funimation's agreement with Crunchyroll will remain on both platforms.
I see Index.
Yeah,
So
I
a
was
lot of-
actually gonna throw it out there. By the way, I don't know who season 3 subs, but they're fucking horrendous.
Oh yeah,
And they're
Index.
official. I don't know if it's Funimation or Crunchyroll, but
They translated One-sama as Sissy.
they also translated fucking Toma as Toma. So I forget
Tama.
who said.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's like it's that,
Ritsu said by season. Don't worry, by New Testament, he's just gonna be Tom.
yeah. that reminds me of like Dog Days where like somebody translated. I think
It
was
is Crunchyroll, by the way, because it's on Crunchyroll because of the
Yeah, I
subs.
was
Yeah.
gonna say season 3 is not on this Funimation list. So.
Well, this
Yeah,
is shit that they're bringing back, not stuff that
Yeah.
they're actively doing.
This reminds me of like Dog Days where it's like Sync, who the obviously European name is like CINQEE, right? As in like the number. But I think like somebody translated his name as sink, as in like kitchen sink, SINK, and I just looked at it. I was like, oh my god, like this can't be happening. But yeah, very unfortunate. Anyways, that'll be pretty interesting. And the other news on the localization front, J Novel Club announced its first 5 manga licenses on Tuesday. The first 5 chapters of all 5 are now available for free on the new company's new manga reader. The manga are as follows, blah, blah, and they list this. But the more important thing is there is a new manga reader that J Novel is running, and they're probably running it under their, the model that they have now, which is the localization, the digital localizations. So this will be very interesting, where the J Novel Club people, the light novel digital localization people, are extending their model into manga stuff, which is sort of what Japan has been going into, right? Like with the digitalization of manga, but they're doing it with English stuff, which I think honestly is the future idea, but we'll see how much market share they can get with this. You know what I mean? So that'll still be pretty interesting. A little bit funny piece of news here. Poster at the Anime Girls Festival 2018 revealed on Sunday that the anime adaptation of the ARP, nominally an abbreviation for Artists Republic Production Dance Vocal Group, will air on television and will premiere in 2019. So the ARP group, and this is like a boys band group, holds live performances featuring singing, dancing, and interactive talking with the audience in real time using the latest augmented reality technology. The Ikemen group members include their de facto leader Shinji, the talented dancer Leon, and the members of the Rebel Cross duo, designer Daya and the composer/writer Rage. So,
dude, they're gonna get sued by Rooster Teeth. You see that fucking Ruby poster right there? It's over.
But yeah, it's apparently like they have like the Idol Boys in like a virtual YouTuber setting probably, but it's like live performances. I would get that. It's just virtual YouTuber stuff, right? Why are they calling it augmented? I don't understand why it's called augmented reality, right? It's
probably because you watch it on your phone and it's like
are the boys like
wherever, right?
It's like
the Idol Mask thing.
It would be legit augmented reality if the female fans were allowed to like touch the virtual YouTuber boys or something like that, right? Like,
no, augmented reality is just super. That's all augmented reality ever. Like AR, whereas VR is a full virtual space. AR is superimposing on top of.
Okay, so the AR, yeah.
You know that Idol Master thing where like you can see the idols dance.
Yeah.
Like, wherever you point your phone camera.
So it's like a superimposition.
Exactly. Like Hatsune Miku.
Yeah.
I'm the pizza box.
Yes. But this is I mean, this is just virtual YouTubers from what I'm seeing, honestly. Like,
but are they really human? I'll be the judge of that.
But yeah, if you're interested in seeing male idols dancing on pizza boxes, check it out.
Hell yeah.
Next piece of news. Japanese figure and model maker Kotobukiya revealed on its first quarter, July 1st and September 30th, balance sheet on Tuesday that it saw a 28.3% decrease in sales from the same quarter last year.
Yikes.
Blah, blah. Operating loss of about US $986,000 for the quarter. The company explained that it had fewer products for sale this quarter when compared to the same quarter last year, and that consumers were more conservative in spending due to natural disasters. Jesus Christ. Frame Arms Girl franchise, stuff like that. So Kotobukiya is still predicting that it will increase its sales by 4.4% to 9.2 billion yen, or about $81 million for the year between July 1st, 2018 and June 30th, 2019. The company is also forecasting an increase in net profit of 455 million yen, or about 4.01 million US dollars for the year. Not if natural disasters have anything to say about it.
But Frame Arms Girl's getting a sequel.
Yeah.
You mean FAG?
Figures have like doubled in price over the past 4 years.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, maybe don't charge $300 for plastic. Pretty much what Cecilia said here. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Now this next piece of news is big. It is big. IG Port The parent company of several anime studios, including Production IG with Studio, and announced that its board of directors decided on Tuesday to transfer the production operations of one of its consolidated subsidiaries, the anime studio Zebek, to Sunrise. Sunrise added that it plans to establish a new subsidiary to take in Zebek's production operations on March 1st, 2019. Sunrise, IG Port, and Zebek will agree to these terms under a letter of intent between the three companies on Wednesday. The companies plan to sign the finalized agreement on March 11th and formally transfer the operations on April 1st, the start of the Japanese fiscal year. Above, IG Port explained that Zebek's primary business, production for animation and other on-screen works, has been running a deficit for a long time, while revenues from its licensing business has not made up for the shortfall. While it was running a deficit, Zebek implemented measures to improve its bottom line, such as stabilizing its revenue stream by accepting production work contracts for a long series, reviewing its management structure, and moving its headquarters. Blah, blah. So it's going. So IG Port is going through some reorganization with companies it has left and stuff like that. So what's surprising to me is, I mean, I guess Sunrise kind of snapped up Zebek because it's probably a relatively like the staff it has are pretty solid, right?
It's
But,
a good choice considering what Zebek and Sunrise do is mostly mecha stuff.
Yeah, nowadays it's a lot of it's more mecha stuff. Although Zebek is definitely more flexible. But what I'm more curious about is the direction that IG Port is going to go, like as a general like umbrella company, because right now obviously it has focused a lot more on these sorts of new media projects, right? In the sense where it's like it's trying to create like these like manga companies for like mobile devices and stuff like that, or whatever it's doing, right? Or like a lot of these different media stuff. So I'm I'm questioning whether IG Port will try to completely transition into something like that, and what they're going to do with something like Production IG. You know what I mean? So that'll be kind of I think that'll be kind of something to consider at least.
Who knows?
So yeah.
Hopefully, it makes Zebek pick better series to adapt.
Dude, come on, Maids versus Butlers was great. Anyways, the final piece of news we have is another numbers thing, another ranking article because everybody loves numbers. And the 2019 edition of Takarajima says, Kono light novel ga sugoi, or This Light Novel is Amazing guidebook reported its list of the top light novel series on Saturday. So again, this list isn't very good, but it lists some series that's like
it's that Ryu thing you like.
Yeah, so what I would say about this guidebook is that it's not a very good guidebook, but what it tells you is what a lot of the light novels that people are kind of looking at in Japan over. So it's not necessarily good light novels; it's just like things that are sort of like popping up in search engines like a lot. So number one, Sabikui no Bisco or Rust Eater Bisco. Number two, Ryo no Shikoto, or The Ryo's Work is Never Done. Number three, Jack Kara Tomozaki-kun, or Weak Character Tomozaki. What is it? Number four, Hige o Soru, Soshite Joshikose o Hiro. Number five, 86. Number six, Classroom of the Elite, right? Number seven, Bokutachi no Remake. Number eight.
Classroom of the Elite. Doesn't that make it a award-winning right now?
No.
Nope.
Number 8, Sankaku no Kyori wa Kagiri nai Zero. Number 9, a certain magical index series.
Which
Number
one?
10,
Season 1 or
Sword Art
Season
Online.
3?
These are light novels, dude.
These are light novels, toast.
Volume 1 or Volume 3?
What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, Sabikui no Bisco also topped the new title ranking list, making it the first time a work has ranked number 1 on both the overall Bukobon list and the new title ranking list. So that's pretty cool. So the Tankobon is like smaller works. Honzoki no Gyakukujo. Shisho ni naru tame ni wa shudan o erandaramessen. I forget what this is. I think I have heard of it before. Number 2, 海辺の病院で彼女の話したいくつかのこと。Number 3, Monogatari series. Number 4,
What is
Overlord.
that? What is that?
Number 5, that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
What's that?
Number 6, Maju no Tabi Tabi. Oh man, I've been wanting to read Maju no Tabi Tabi for a long while actually. Number 7, J.K. Haru is a sex worker in another... What? J.K. Haru is a sex worker in another world.
Wow, that's so
Okay.
mean.
Move on. We're gonna
That
get
sounds
tossed
like
banned.
it's for adults.
Yeah, we're gonna get banned already. Number 8, Mushoku Tensei. Issei itara honki dasu. That one's pretty bad one.
Hey
I've been
man,
kill-
are you saying jobless reincarnation is bad?
Yes.
I don't know, man. These 8, 9s, and 10s are pretty good.
Number 9, I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Number 10, Silent Spider.
Kumo desu ga nani ka?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Kumo
that's see.
desu
Look
ga-
at that. 8, 9, 10 are good.
Hounzuki no Gekkokujo, the number 1, also ranked at number 1 last year. But yeah. And the most popular male and female characters, Kamijo Toma and Misako Mikoto from the Magical Index series top the list.
Who?
And
Yeah, who
shut
is
up.
that?
And
That
with
sounds like a side series
That's
character.
not. She's
Where's
not from
Index?
New Testament.
Where's Index?
The heck?
But yeah, again, I guess congratulations to the series. But yeah, if you want to check out some of the stuff that are sort of popular on in Japan, kind of people are kind of picking them up all the time, or at least talking about them a decent amount. This Kono Light Novel Gatsukoi guidebook is a good place to start. So check the rankings out, I guess. And with that, we are done with the news, and we're going to move straight on to shoutouts and callouts. Again, everybody gets one shoutout and one callout. A shout out is something that you want to praise, give 10 out of 10, 5 stars on Yelp, and it can be any person, place, or thing. And call out is, the exact opposite. You want to rage about something, you want to call something out, you want to be angry about something, and it can be any one person, place, or thing. I guess I'll start.
Spire, what are your shoutouts and callouts?
Why, thank you, Toast. My call out is to the people who are so like all they value these days are just like, oh, I just want quote unquote realistic characters. I just want the real MCs. I just want the cool edgy MCs. These aren't like these hair protagonists. It's like the story, the series has to make sense. The character does not exist in a vacuum. It doesn't matter if the character is cool or edgy or whatever. If the interactions he's doing don't make sense or shitty, whatever. So even if you have quote unquote cool characters or whatever, like you might think the MC is in Bunny Girl or Aobuta, it doesn't matter. The story is still mediocre. So as for shout out, honestly, what should I shout out? I actually had something to shout out, but I kind of ended up forgetting what it is. I think I'm going to shout out. Actually, I'm going to fucking shout out this cold weather because I actually like cold weather a decent amount.
Is it because it matches your cold, lifeless
Yes,
heart?
yeah, my cold lifeless heart and soul.
Do you need more rods and cones in your life?
Yes, I kind of enjoy having cold weather and kind of being or more chilly weather necessarily, kind of like taking walks outside, like with jackets and stuff like that. But the only downside to this is that for some reason, you're hearing Christmas songs on the radio like a month and a half before Christmas,
Even
which
before
kinda-
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly. Which kind of sucks. But other than that, I like the cold weather. So shout outs to that. Nier, shout outs to callouts, please.
Callouts to being sick.
Mm.
What are you sick with?
I'm not
Some
a
sort of
fan.
Canadian maple fever?
Yeah, it's this crazy thing. It's called cold.
Canadian
I
Maple
don't know if you
Cold.
heard of it, but yeah, that wasn't fun. Would I would prefer to not do that again. You know, just FYI. But shout outs to I don't know, the RNG gods that smiled down upon me a few weeks ago.
Oh yes. Fuck yeah.
I pulled 5 stars in like a bunch of different games. Pretty tight. I pulled a 5-star Saber finally. You know,
Which
after
one?
Saber. You know,
The true saber.
yeah, the titular character Saber. Um, and then I pulled a 5-star assault rifle in Girls Frontline that I wanted quite a bit.
Which
Very,
one?
very cute. ZAS M21.
What?
Very nice. And then I pulled um, a 5-star like bow Hinaka in Fire Emblem Heroes. Um, Even though I don't play that game anymore, but hey, you know, it's all good.
This
Getting
motherfucker.
getting those rates, dude.
Fucking give me that gotcha luck, bitch.
Good fuck.
Yeah, anyways. Okay, so that's your shout outs and call outs at Dark.
Shout outs to fuck. I'm definitely like forgetting something that I actually wanted to shout out, but I'm gonna have to, I guess, just give this one to the new FF14 Shadowbringers trailer because it's a really nice, really cool trailer. It's got me pretty hyped for the new expansion. Oh, we know like nothing about it.
Please be excited.
Yeah, please be excited. And then call outs to the FF14 Fan Fest and Blue Mage. I don't like that system. I don't like the system.
Content. It's content.
Yeah, it's content from 5 years ago. That's gonna be very exciting.
Please.
No, I think it's a dangerous system to introduce in an MMO. To say to yourself like, you know, hey guys, here are some classes that were like weird. So instead of either making them work or just not adding them at all, we're gonna put in some system that really doesn't have any end game connection to the rest of the game. Have fun.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I just don't. I don't
Thanks.
like. Yeah, I don't like that line of reasoning. I don't like the idea that a developer would go on stage and say shit like, "Oh, we couldn't," you know, like since Blue Mage uses boss abilities, like that's crazy. Like how could we possibly balance Blue Mage being able to use Shiva's ice bow on a boss? And I'm like, I don't know, make it do less damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what? It's like, but then that ruins the fantasy. It's like the entire game is not the way other Final Fantasies are.
Yeah,
Like
it's kind of like whatever.
like you can adapt classes to make them fit. Either way, I'm not mad really about Blue Mage because if it was gonna be another ranged magic DPS, we don't need one.
Mhm.
I'm
In
more
fact, we need less.
yeah. I'm more uh here's a class that needs to get hit by bosses to learn its skills. Yeah, but see the problem with the limited job system especially is some of their reasoning. Where for Blue Mage they were like, oh well what are we gonna do? People are gonna need to have certain boss abilities to be effective. And there's 49 abilities that you have to collect. And, you know, like, are we just going to lock people out or are we going to risk people getting kicked for not having those abilities? We don't want to do that, so let's make the class useless. Like that line of reasoning doesn't even work within their own game because they have a job system that gives you abilities that are 100% necessary to
Right.
do endgame content. And if you don't have those abilities, you're gonna get fucking kicked. Like, you're not gonna get invited to a group if you're trying to roll up without a job gem or a fucking or like job quest done, and half of your abilities aren't even there. You know, like it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit into their own game logic, their reasoning behind anything they said really for Blue Mage. Like, none of it really made sense. So I don't mind them doing something like this. I don't mind them doing something like for Blue Mage. I just don't like the way they seem to be thinking about it. You know, if they had introduced the expansion like more than a teaser at this event, if they introduced like a teaser and then like a short showing, like maybe an in-game thing, or
That's what the other two fan
I
fests
know, and that's what I mean.
for.
It's so but here's the thing. The first fan fest then should have shown off the Gunblade actual job. It should have showed off a real job. And then the other fan fest, I know, but then the other fan fest should have done Blue Mage. Because your opening for this should not be something like you introduce your new expansion and you're like, yo, here's the job, here's Blue Mage. And everyone's like, wait a minute. So like that's a new job. Okay, so that's a new job for the new expansion. And then they're like, nope, it's not actually. It's for the base game and it has nothing to do with anything. It's like, well, wait. So we have the only news we have is we know it's called Shadowbringers and we have the trailer now and that's it. Like
Yeah,
that
dude, it's
feels
all about
shitty.
Dark Knights and Thancred's a judge, and all the leaks have been true so far.
Yeah, I know. That's what like I don't know. I just think that the way they showed it, they shouldn't have shown like Blue Mage should not have been the first thing they showed.
Well, that's probably because Blue Mage is coming out, I think, before
It might be
the other
coming out
fan
before the
fest
next fan
even
fest.
happen.
Yeah.
So
It might come out before February. Oh, I don't know. Or they should have figured out something to be able to show a little bit more from the expansion itself, and not just have a teaser and then Blue Mage. Because they
that's the
also
way it
showed
goes.
they also
They could have really
showed
shown like art or something, you know.
yeah.
But
Well, they also shouldn't have fucking shown Blue Mage's trailer and then like a day later explain everything. You know what I mean? Because like they
yeah,
released Blue Mage's trailer and everyone thought it was a job, and then they were like, "Wait, it's not."
by the way, here's how it works, and it's coming out in like 3 months,
Yeah, yeah, and
2
then
months,
it's like,
rather.
wait, what? It's like not only is it coming out soon, but it also does not work anywhere near you thought it worked for the past day. So that was a really weird choice, and I disagree with it.
Oh well. Anyways, toast or shout out to call please.
Everyone's done?
What?
Yes.
Spire, did you do yours?
Yes, I did mine.
Okay. My shout out is I'm gonna shout out is to the wave of good isekais that are going to come. Now,
What?
I don't know about that one.
Slime Tensei is in my top 3, along with Knights and Magic. There's just one left that's coming up soon. Good.
You're talking about Arifureta?
Is that in your top 3?
No, are you talking about what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
I don't know, man.
Well,
You're the fan.
Yeah, you're the fan.
What? Fuck you.
You said me and you are alike, so you would know what I'm talking about.
I already regret saying that.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Slime Tensei is really good. It's hard to find a fault in it so far. Yeah.
Okay, what's your
good job.
call out?
Can't wait for that Tsukino no Michibiku ga Kirei. What was it called, Spire? What's the
Sekiro Michi. Sorry.
Moonlit Journey Through Another World?
It's
Yeah.
it's Tsuki ga Michibiku Isekai Dochu.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Yeah, Moonlit Journey Across Another World.
I'd put that in my top 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah. My call out.
Yes. Your call out.
Who wants my call out? I'm auctioning this off.
No. So you don't have a call out.
Dark, you want it?
So Toast does not have a call out. Okay.
I mean, I'll give one. Sure.
Okay. Do
My
it.
my call out is to DL site.
The
The,
fuck?
the game I wanted wasn't on sale.
Well, yeah. I mean,
So-
well, but the
so-
thing is, TLC just runs their stupid ass
so-
10% sales every like other day.
I bought it at
DL
full.
site DL site stuff is like on sale every other day. What
Yeah,
are you talking
exactly.
about?
That's like 15% sales.
But
like, every other day.
the one I wanted was $6.69, and I don't have a coupon for it.
Fucking pay up $6.69, dude. What the fuck?
It's fucking $6. Who
I mean,
cares?
I'll do it, but
Oh my god.
I want my coupon.
You want
Oh.
your like 7 cents off?
No, I usually get 25%. See, this one's 50%
You're
off.
literally saving like $1.50 or so.
50% off, man.
Oh my god. Just all right, Toast.
I want my Cook Holding Elephant Fire Sophia English version.
If you care about the price that much, just fucking pirate it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
No, I like to support the authors.
you like
then
to support, but
paying
you
more
don't want
is
to pay.
better.
Yeah, but I want a
You
coupon.
don't pay that much. Okay,
Yeah,
you
he
you
wants
want to
to
give
pay,
them
like, a
below
little
$5.
bit, not like-
It's like a tip jar. It's like a tip jar where you're like, I don't really want to put my $10 in it, right? But I
Yeah,
can't buy
it's
my
like,
$5.
yeah,
See,
it's-
look at this. Look, this
But I don't want to pay him very much.
this $11.47 game is 60% off. So it's $5.
Wow, it's almost like those games are literally put up on the store at a higher price, so that way they can put the 50% sticker on there, so you'll buy it.
Shh. That's a secret. That's a secret tactic. But anyways, thank you for your shout out to COD.
You want to know what the game I wanted?
No, I don't actually.
Why
I
not?
really don't. But anyways,
But
Yeah.
it has Cook Holding in the there's a
no.
Cook Holding in the
Okay,
title.
thank you for
Want
your
that?
shout out to cost. And with that, we are done with all of the sections for today. And this was episode again 106 of 4PlayerAnimecast. We have one more episode to go. It'll be 1 week after this, so we'll be doing pretty shortly. So it'll be 1 week after this, where we're going to be finishing off our series coverage of the fall 2018 season, and then the episode after that, we will be doing our winter 2018 podcast. So that'll be pretty interesting. Actually, yeah. Wait, should we? Yeah, we will be doing the winter 2018 podcast, and then I think what will actually happen is that we might end up doing winter 18 preview into the New Year's show. I think we'll have to do that, right? Just because of how the schedule ends up being. So it'll be pretty busy month ahead. So look out for that.
Yeah, I'll see what's coming up, right? 2019 is shaping up to be a good year.
Hopefully. But again, with that, we are done for the night. Thank you for everybody watching here and for those listeners listening out there. If you like what we do this every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese animation media, manga, anime, light novels, visual novels, web novels, etc., etc., etc. And if you like what we do, again, follow us here on twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast. That's with the number 4, or on our other various social medias on Facebook, on Twitter, at 4PPAnimecast, all with the number 4. Follow us we have our media both on YouTube and on Twitch, so follow us there as well. And with that, we'll see you next time.